In the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, let's kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right. Baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
What's up? It's your girl, Averi Woodley. Welcome to my channel, Same Team. Quick video, you all, about the power of a woman's words and toxic femininity, okay? We all know women are birthers, right? We bring things to life, not just from our bodies, but also with our words, okay? So if we have the power to bring life and to add to someone with our words, we also have the power to take away and to kill something. And I'm not saying that the words from a man do not hold a lot of weight when it comes to women, but because of how men are about respect and how people talk to them, a woman's words are powerful, okay? We can bring a man up, and we can just as quickly, in the blink of an eye, bring him down with how we talk to him.
Fire for your mind. The kosher clinician.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. When the truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down to ride, you weren't down to ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide. I was shooting dice till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took a L, should've put it in the offering. Lord, forgive me for my sins, don't know of me. Scary thoughts, I got scary thoughts. Lost control, now I'm taking charge. Breaking bills, friends breaking off. You could be the youngest, I'm the dawn. Kiss the ring, nah. In the scene like G.O.T. Stay awake, don't sleep. Like Jon Snow, get R.I.P. Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. Just me, myself, and I, my favorite threesome. The cars I drive by, I never lease them. They say if you can't beat them, then you join them. That's no option, I don't join, I always beat them. I was fake, it had to find me. Now I'm on beat, skating like I'm grinding. L hit me, said it's all about the timing. If you want the vision, get to spinning. My mama told me trust in God, it's never limits. Now I'm on the scoreboard, running up the digits. I put in work, you know I'm up to get it. Early bird gets the worm and the Yankee fitted. Like whoa, bags under my eyes and you know. Won't complain, I'm tired, I'm on go. For that grip, 10 toes till they swole. For that grip, 10 toes till they swole. Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me. I was starving, now I'm eating till my belly full. From up north, we get cold, you need a heavy coat. Scared to end up on the shirt before it's centerfold. Devil on my back, target on me, deadly too. Play the keys, don't tweet. It's not peace, don't speak. 24, no sleep. This is real, no tweet. My bros for life, can't break this link. Family on my side, baby stay around me. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want less. I'ma live my ass way, I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want less. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess.
Want that combo, better know you'll need a check from me. Can pay to play, the sun and still won't get a cent from me. I mix the fit up with the side like it's a remedy. I mix it up inside the pot, watch it drip while it drop. Time to take it to the top. Chips all in the middle like it fall, no I won't flop. We gon' pop like a soda can top. To me this is nothing, call my bluff and I won't stop when I flex. I don't want no combo, I want checks.
I want the checks, yeah.
I don't want the second, I want best.
I want best, yeah.
By any means, that's a triple threat.
A triple threat.
That S is getting bigger, I might
flex.
I don't want no combo, I want checks.
I don't want the second, I want best. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want best. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess.
I hit recorded drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, finished friends on my face. Looking like I'm from the deep, these no Cartiers. Pockets deep, bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa. I press the button and the doors go off like that money clip was not a new, now looks like upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip, neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib, neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick, neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, on no say. Okay, this the new, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like that money clip was not a new, now looks like upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like I press the button and the doors go off like that money clip was not a new, now looks like upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like Tunnel vision when I hit the holly. Working on that cause my mind is on an island. Told my babies I'll be homeless, so don't stay up. Breaks my heart to see them sad, so I won't wait up. Need it all that's mine, I need it now. I lost my patience the same week I lost my smile. My baby pressed me, said I'm acting like a child. I took some L's, can lie, that really brought me down. I'm so antisocial, but I guess it's type selective. Swear I'll make a change, but for now I just can't help it. Only trusting God and these scars that I've been dealt with. I'ma do my job, time to grind, time to know. They know, 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 they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. Going and I won't let up, they know. I'm not so fed up, they know. Stay for the so I'm fed up, they know. Why you never sign? You sign when you go live. Stuck inside that bubble, never ever go outside. You don't know you know computers, you're a tech guy. Back against a wall, you gon' fall or you gon' ride. I feel the pressure, foot to the pedal. My dogs, they fed up, my squad won't let up. Those sneakers CDG, hot on step on. My money yoga, the weight is stretch on. I change locations to change the weather. Know when that rain come, got my umbrella. And when my day come, my name gon' stay up. Yeah, I know. Pedal to the metal, they know. Gone and I won't let up, they know. I'm not so I'm fed up, they know. Say it for the record, they know. They know, yeah they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. I'm not so I'm fed up, they know.
Love for a man is often seen in the form of peace. And peace is often synonymous to what you see on the screen, the ocean and the waves, and also peace is synonymous to being at tranquility. But in many modern times, many men are saying that many modern women don't know how to love them the proper way. And because they feel that many don't know how to love them the proper way, a lot of times many men are saying that they don't see the benefits of love or relationships. In the past, there was a time when men were able to see this, as I'm about to put on the screen. The image of love, or the vestige associated with love, was something that many men from the 90s and beyond that point, or before that point, experienced in the sultry woman to the back, Anita Baker. Anita Baker was the type of woman that personified those old school women, the type of women that were able to say, I apologize, as her song actually rose to melodic rises back in the 90s and the 80s. But the thing about Anita Baker that was so powerful is that Anita Baker knew how to touch not only men in her songs, but Anita Baker was able to touch the hearts of many men through her music. And through that music was a reflection of a time when women were very feminine, women were very virtuous, and women more or less strived, even though they weren't perfect, to try to understand how men operate. But many men are saying in modern times, does a woman know how to adequately love a man? And that brings to the point that many would say no. With women like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, as they talk about some of their very viral music, I don't cook, I don't clean, many modern women see cooking and cleaning as something negative instead of seeing cooking and cleaning as a virtue that can benefit a man in a time where men feel like they're not getting the nurturing that they deserve and or need. It was always said in the past that art actually imitates life. And does art imitate life as it relates to how relationships are being more or less formulated in these modern times? Does art imitate life based on how men feel like or perceive that they are not being treated based on the romanticism called love? Are you a man of modern time that seeks to get love like men from the past had, or even the illusion of love? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you guys to remember this as Averi Woodley and I talk about how to love a black man in modern times. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. Join me and Averi Woodley live as we talk about the dynamics associated with trying to give men the formulation, or more or less the illusion of love, in a time where many women were more or less personified Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. Be well. All right. Can you hear me, young lady?
I can hear you.
You kept freezing a couple of times. So it's a pleasure, Averi Woodley, to have you on the show. You were actually recommended by one of my subscribers. He's a subscriber of yours as well. And, you know, Averi, we want to continue to have this conversation as we seek to form a more perfect union because relationships are faltering. Many men don't see the benefit of modern relationships, Averi. And many men are actually have become apathetic or beginning to take their talents abroad. But before we get more deeper into the conversation, I want you to tell the audience who you are and what made you become the woman that you are today.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can still hear me, even though I'm freezing. I don't know what's up with StreamYard. It's been freezing. I was on another stream and the other person was freezing. So, and they said they've been having problems with StreamYard. So can you guys still hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah,
okay, perfect. So sorry about that. So I'm Averi Woodley. I am a personal coach. I am a trainer. I am a mom. I am all of that. I am a woman who is constantly becoming every day that I get up. How do I say it? Like, to get me to the point that I am today, it was a lot of personal experiences, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of kind of, what would I say? Unbecoming from what I learned growing up, what a strong Black woman was, and me shedding that kind of exterior and shedding that notion and taking all that off because it was detrimental not only to my personal relationships, but to myself as well, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So we are taught to be one way, and it's almost become like a genetic thing that we have on us, a lot of Black women, right? And we're raised up this way, even if the people in our lives do not tell us to be independent to a fault or tell us that, the Black man is our enemy. And I wasn't told that, but I was just raised very, very strong, very stoic. I didn't know anything about feminine energy. Right. I didn't know anything about sexuality, intimacy, how to be soft. I had to learn all of that, like as an adult woman, I tell people I was married, I was a wife, and I was a mother before I was ever a woman. And I think that's happening a lot. And so here I'm kind of thrown into the world. I'm supposed to become one with a man. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know how to be a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't fully in tune with myself. I was disconnected. I was leading in my masculinity. And that kept me from, it created like a stone wall in my life. And I was like, you know what? And then I had my daughter. I had all boys and I had my daughter. And I realized then that I am the first example of a woman in her life, right?
True. Yes.
And I didn't want her to carry the load that I was carrying, but also I didn't want my boys to see, and even though their fathers are around, their grandfathers and their coaches, I didn't want my boys to see like, oh, well, this is how a woman is. She leads in her masculinity. She does it all. She doesn't need me, right?
Right.
So I started to kind of unbecome so I could become.
Yes, yes. Oh, it makes a lot of sense. I did a show with my dear friend Chantel Simone, and I said the becoming. And, as masculinity, Averi, it's a series of hills and valleys, victory and failure. We're not born men, we're born males, but we become men through trials, tests, hills and valleys, victories and failures. And that's what shapes the male into becoming a man. And, sadly, there has been a lot of negative socialization. A lot of our women have been socialized not to affirm and also learn to more or less acquiesce their femininity. Mm-hmm. A lot of men, Averi, feel that many modern women don't see them as human beings, but more or less human doings. And because of that, a lot of men are saying, what am I getting in a relationship? I'm not getting a virtuous woman. I'm not getting a woman that understands how to more or less coalesce with the masculine. I'm not getting a woman that's been, how can I say it, socialized to affirm and understand what authority and leadership looks like. So many men, Averi, now are in relationships where they're caught up in what's called egalitarian relationships. Mm-hmm. How did egalitarian relationships play a role in your psychodynamics, Averi?
So here's the thing. With the way these relationships are now, I think a lot of them are one-sided. Mm-hmm. Right. So you have a lot of men who are in relationships and they don't feel worthy. They don't feel needed. They don't feel wanted. You have women that I feel like are kind of, I wouldn't say lead. Yeah, you do. You have women that are leading these, leading these relationships,
Right.
and they're coming to the table like I'm the woman and you are the man. You are beneath me, right? You owe me everything,
Right.
and I'm perfect as I am. Take me as I am, because not only was I raised that way, but the world, like you talked about the art and the music, is telling me that, right? It's telling me that I am woman, hear me roar.
Right.
And there is nothing wrong with that. But the point is that the men, there wouldn't be a woman without a man.
Right.
There wouldn't be a woman without a man. I have a lot of women that come to me. I have a lot of men that come to me actually and tell me, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel appreciated. I'm in this relationship. I don't feel needed. I'm just supposed to be a provider or a sperm donor. And you have women constantly saying like, well, I don't need you because I can do this on my own. I can pay my bills. I can have a baby on my own. I can travel on my own. You see all of that. And I'm not saying that women should not be able to travel. They shouldn't be able to take care of themselves or whatever. But what's happening is not only is it breaking down the relationships between men and women, but it's breaking down the family structure. It's breaking down the community. It's breaking down Black people overall. So when it comes to this whole, relationship dynamic, so to speak, I feel as if instead of us being at so many odds, we have to kind of, we have to come together. But like you said, how to love a Black man, Black women can't love Black men until they first understand that the Black man is not their enemy.
Right. Right. He's not the enemy. And we're going to talk about that more in depth. Avery, let me ask you a question, sweetie. I don't know if is your internet on point?
Yeah, you know what? My internet is really strong. I've never had this problem until recently. It was a couple of people that said that they were having problems with their StreamYard freezing. So this is the first time mine has ever frozen. So what I may do is, hey guys, I may exit out one more time while you talk and then join back in because it's driving me bonkers.
Right.
Well as I'm sure it's driving everybody else bonkers.
Yeah. Because you got a lot of good points that you're giving, and we're gonna have a very deep conversation. We're gonna be very cogent. We're gonna be very cerebral. So drop back out, Avery. Try to drop back in, and make sure your connection's on point. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. All right. All right, guys. So Avery is going to pop back in 1 minute. So give her a minute, guys. But in the meantime, I want to ask you men a question. Do you feel like modern women can love you properly in modern times? And before we get deep into this subject, I want to give a special thanks to Excellent Pro for that $5 super chat. Thank you, Excellent Pro, as we wait for Mr. Whitney to pop back in. And to the people that have not donated to the channel, please donate to the channel. If you don't have any money to give, share the content. Sharing the content for me is just like money. And so we got good women like this young lady that's trying to learn to become the better version of herself. And just like Chantel Simone also is overcoming and evolving. And see, many times when young women try to evolve and become better women, many times it's met with ill repute. And, a lot of men are saying that women lack the feminine virtues that they're looking for to be with a quality woman. And I want to ask you men a question. What percentage, and we talked about in the past, of women you feel like they know how to love a Black man properly? What percentage of men do you think know how to love a Black man or any man for that reason properly? Because I know and you know that the community can never be a positive power until our women know how to properly love us. And we always talk about, doing what's best for her. Doing what's best for what she wants. But how many times have our women been properly trained to love their men in a positive way? Have you men ever got love or positive love in a positive way? And if you have, tell me what it looks like. Shout out to my dear friend Luke Cage, that she's always showing love for that $5 super chat. Thank you, dear. I appreciate that. And in the meantime, until Mr. Whitney get back, guys, I'm going to read some of these comments. Shout out to Gerard Ola actually told me about this young lady, Averi Woodley. She's a pleasant surprise. And shout out to Top Gun for always showing love. Shout out to Gregory Scotland. He said this young lady was on Chantel Simone show a while back. Shout out to her. Shout out to Barry Hamilton. He said salute at Coach and Top Gun in the chat. And said that Gregory Scotland said about 10%. And that's a problem, guys, where only 10% of our women adequately and properly know how to love a man. That's an issue. And because that is an issue, it's causing a chasm in many of these relationships. One of the things that men struggle with is loyalty. If you struggle with loyalty and why loyalty is important, I want you guys to hit 1. How many men feel that loyalty is a problem as it relates to modern relationships? If you believe that loyalty is an issue, then hit 1. Shout out to KP from KC5. Shout out to that brother. XL Pro said, I agree, maybe. Marlon women, maybe 10 to 15%. I think most don't care. Yeah, I think so too. Shout out to the Inspirational Relationship Group. He said 20%. Mr. Woodley said that I'll be back shortly. My apologies. My connection is strong. It's a glitch with the stream. Okay, Avery. Well, that's fine. We'll bring you back on in a minute. But the men are speaking. To the women that are listening, the men are speaking. And for so many years and for so long, we have not been properly told how to love a black man, to the point that many men are saying they're not getting their needs met. Now, I want you guys to hear this and understand this. When it comes down to properly loving a man, I'm not talking about men that are violent. I'm not talking about abusive men. I'm not talking about liars. I'm not talking about bums. I'm not talking about homosexuals. I'm not talking about dusty, socially or mentally transmitted diseased men. Shout out to Edward Anderson for that. But what I'm talking about men that are solid men. They're not perfect by any means, but they work hard. They love hard. They're willing to do what's best to make their woman happy. I'm talking about solid men, not perfect men. I'm talking about men that were raised to more or less give their life for the right woman if it's necessary. I'm talking about men that go to work and work a 9 to 5 or have their own business. I'm talking about those men. And if those men have prepared themselves adequately to more or less give to a woman, then how much more should that woman give him? Because see, I've told you guys in the past that if you want him to protect you physically, you got to protect his ego. His ego is the inner sanctum of masculinity. When a man's ego is not protected, he cannot be the best version of himself because he's constantly looking behind his back. He's constantly wondering and worrying, does she really care about me? Is she going to take me for everything that I got? And so when a man is not getting his needs met, we call that protective factors, then a man can't be the best version of himself. And that's why I have these conversations. That's why I bring cerebral women like Averi Woodley, like Chantel Simone, and other women that I've had on the panel, women that are uncommon so that they can become the better version of themselves. And I get it. A lot of men say, well, we don't know if they're chameleons. Well, that's why you got to properly vet, because we know that some women are chameleons. But I bring good women onto my platform, not women that think they're going to sabotage what I'm doing, because that would never work. But I do believe that women that are trying to understand masculinity, to women that have made bad mistakes due to negative social conditioning, then they should have the opportunity to change the trajectory of where they're going at. Also, to the men that have been hurt and abused by bad and violent women, you got to also get yourself to the position where you can be show love again and where you can be in love, but understanding that you never love 100%, you love within reason. Shout out to my man Doberman. Shout out to Doberman for that $5 super sticker. He said that I am getting forward with disease, poverty, social degradation. There's plenty of incentives. The issues is our women's values, no doubt. Shout out to my man Asher Ajayole. He said women with the capability of loving a black man is loving a black man is less than 5%. Wow. Wow. Yeah. A lot of guys are saying that based on their anecdotal experience. Shout out to the Inspiration Relationship Group at the Coaching Clinician 100%. Protection, in my opinion, is our greatest focus, no doubt. Shout out to Luke Case. She said, Averi Woodley, your sound was coming in perfectly. Maybe you need to not to connect your video, allow the sound on the web. Yeah, but I definitely want to see her face. She's a very brilliant young lady. I don't know what's going on, but we'll try again as I wait for her. But I want to ask you, men, a question. Is Miss Woodley is going to pop back in a minute. We talk about art imitates life, and I did a clip a minute ago, guys, and and I know that as men get older, peace is very important for the inner sanctum of masculinity. What does peace mean to you as a man? What does peace mean? Have you guys been in relationships where you've had peace? If you haven't had peace, tell me what's that done to you? What has that done to you mentally if you have not had peace? If you may have not had peace, I want you to tell me what that's been or more or less done to you. Now we have the talent and the lovely Averi Woodley back on the stream. Averi, can you hear me there?
Yes, I can. And I'm still freezing. I don't know what's going on. And I hit somebody up and they were like, no, it's just something with StreamYard. So I took it off, came back. So we'll see.
Okay, no problem. We're gonna make it do what it do. All right.
Or you might just have to put me, even if you just have to put me on audio, that's fine.
No, you're fine. I don't care. You listen. You dropping some gems, so I don't care. But I'm gonna ask you a question. You talk about overcoming to become the woman that you are now.
Yes.
And you had to unlearn a lot of negative socialization. One of the greatest things, Avery, that men fear as it relates to modern women, they don't know if those women are genuine. They don't know if they're chameleons. They don't know if they're more or less trying to perform to get into a relationship, but they have a hidden agenda. What would you say to men that have those queries?
First of all, they are 100% valid. They are 100% valid. You have a lot of finessers out there, right? And women, we do naturally finesse, but we can do it for good or we can do it for evil. Mm-hmm. And I feel that you guys are valid in your feelings. I can't imagine, like, I worry about my boys finding a good woman, not the perfect woman, but a good woman, and they're young.
Woman, right. Mm-hmm.
Just because I see the mothers that are out there and how they are and how their young daughters are. So I am really concerned. As a woman, obviously time will tell, right? You can only fool somebody for so long. There are certain things that you definitely need to watch out for. In the beginning, some signs. Women always want to talk about red flags with men. There are definitely a lot of red flags with women. The type of women that she hangs around, what they are like, kind of date her friends, not like literally date her friends, but her tribe. What is her tribe like? Mm-hmm. If it is a woman that has children, for example, what is the relationship with the father of her children? When you listen to her talk, does she hold herself accountable? Right. Ask her. I'm big on, learning about people's faults and about, times that people have fallen down and gone through stuff, because I want to hear how they've recovered, right? They're placing the blame on someone else? Are they like, well, if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't have did this, or if it wasn't for her? If they are passing the blame on someone else, right, then I would be very concerned, because that means that is not a woman that knows how to hold herself accountable. Boom, and she won't grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, she won't grow. You can do anything for a second, for a moment, and fake it, but she won't be able to grow when you guys have disagreements. It doesn't need to be a stomp down, drag out argument, but when you guys have disagreements, how is she coming back from that? And I've dealt with it. We all can get stubborn and be like, I don't want to hear it. But then is she able to sit herself down in a place and listen to you, but hear you to understand, not hear you to have a rebuttal and to have a comeback and to go tit for tat, which I have been guilty of. That's the only reason I can talk about this, right? Is because I can just tell you guys the things that I had to go through. And, is she soft? Does she have a soft heart? Maybe bring up the word submit, that everybody thinks that's a 4-letter word. But I mean, there's just different things that you can throw out there to see if it is a woman who is actually evolving, or if it is somebody that is trying to finesse you for the moment, right? Trying to finesse you for the moment so she can get the ring and get the engagement pictures and all that for the gram. Does she want to, is she really trying to be a wife? Is she really trying to be committed? Does she see your value? You know what I'm saying? Does she see that men are supposed to be honored and that they are needed and that they are kings? Because to me, you can't be a queen without having a king.
Boom. Right. I agree with you 1,000%. Shout out to my man, Tim Howard. I haven't seen Tim in a while. He says, salute to TKC chat that's passing.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Guys, if you can hear that, please.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Issues, Averi Woodley and I are processing. Hold tight. Avery, did you hear that little ringtone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. Got to make sure my Leo swag is on point. Avery, I think you're a Capricorn because you're very logical. Is that
I am a Capricorn. New Year's Eve.
Oh man, y'all Capricorns are stubborn, but y'all very logical.
Very, you know what? Very, and I'm telling you, as a woman, I'm letting you guys know, okay? And excuse
y'all think like men.
Everything's freezing, but as a woman, I am extremely stubborn, right? But when I step back from the situation, it may be for a day, it may be for an hour, and it may just be for 5 minutes. I will step back and I'm like, look, You are absolutely right. Like, I am very logical. I have to think things through and process things through. And I think that's why I am so gung-ho on women holding themselves accountable and sitting with themselves. Well, people in general, right? But a lot of times women, we can easily run from ourselves because society and art and music and everything tells us because we're perfect how we are, you know?
Right. Well, you know, Ted Pendergrass said you can't hide from yourself. And you can't hide from yourself, Avery. You're not willing to introspect, because there is a crisis, Miss Woodley, in heteronormative masculinity, to the point that many men are beginning to suffer in silence. Many men are becoming apathetic. Many men are looking for their wives abroad, or many men are just playing women and finessing women because they say, get married for what? What do you say to the women that want to see relationships formed in America, but those women, Avery, are not marching on Capitol Hill? They're not marching to the Senate to tell them to change the laws. What do you say to those women there?
To the women, what? Repeat that one more time.
So what do you say to the women that want to see relationships, but they're not marching to have the laws changed as it relates to men and male rights?
This is how I feel. You can't want something without putting in the work and putting in the effort, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to, you know, they want to see these relationships or whatever, it's like, do you really, if you want to see them, then what are you doing to see them, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing actively other than words? Because we all know that after a while, words can be empty. We have to put the action behind it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I am big on action. And it's like one of those things like, okay, I hear you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing when, and I hate to say this, but I feel like, you know, a lot of women in general, I'm like, I see you guys love and support Black men more when they become a hashtag than you do when they're not a hashtag. Right. You know, so we'll march when you guys are gunned down the street. We'll do that. We'll go to Capitol Hill. We'll do all this stuff when you guys become, you know, victims to gun violence, to police brutality. And, you know, we love our Black men. We love our kings. That only lasts for so long. It's become to me like a trend.
Right. It's trendy.
It's trendy, right? And I'm not saying, and here's the thing, I don't want anybody to take it out of context. I am not saying that every woman that's out there that is, whether it's George Floyd, Martin Mayberry, whatever, right? I'm not saying that we are only going, you know, supporting and loving you guys when you become a hashtag. But I just think that it's funny to see when I look down my timeline, right? When I look down my timeline, when I look at the news, when I listen to the music, it's, you know, we actively are like, yes, let's uplift our Black men when you all become a hashtag, or not to bring this up, but when we have the slap at the Oscars, and it's like, oh yes, protect Black queens. That's what all Black men should have did. This, and this. And I'm completely against that because that's not what that was about, right? So then we're going to jump on that bandwagon. But every day, in everyday life, if you're saying that, you know, you want these relationships with men and you want all of that, then in what ways are we showing that we support you all and that we love you all and that we want the best for you all and that we're not in competition with you?
Right. Because when you're in competition with a man, then you're in competition with his mission. I'm going to say it again. When you're in competition with your man, then you're in competition with his mission. But before we delve any further, shout out to my dear friend Wendy Evans for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, dear. I appreciate it, Wendy. And also to the people that are watching, guys, share the content. Shout out to my man Top Gun for the $5 super sticker as well. Thank you, Top Gun, for your love and your support in these very timely and very pertinent issues. I want to ask you a question, Ms. Woodley.
Okay.
What did family and structure look like to you in your formative years? And did you ever rebel against that structure due to liberal indoctrination? I went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That's where I got my master's from.
Okay.
I got my second degree from North Carolina Central, historically Black college, one of the better Black colleges in the state of North Carolina, as we hold the highest number of HBCUs. And then I got my last and one of my other degrees in associates in law enforcement. I went to school to be a cop. But what did the family look like to you as a young lady growing up? And did you more or less rebel from the teachings of your fathers and the men in your lives?
Okay, so actually, my father's one of my best friends. He is absolutely one of my best friends. And it's weird because even though let me go back, right? So I grew up in a 2-parent household. My dad was a fireman. He worked his way up and became, a fire chief here in St. Louis. And then he became of St. Louis City. He was battalion chief. Then he retired from there. And University City, which is kind of like a suburb of St. Louis, he became the first Black, the first African-American fire chief there. My mom was an educator. And just to give you a backstory, her mom died when she was 49.
Oh, wow.
Her parents died very, so my grandmother died when she was 49. She was an alcoholic, as was my grandfather, both my mom's parents. So my mom was raised, brought up by her grandparents a lot, right? They lived right up the street. And the only reason I'm telling you that is because it goes into the type of woman that my mom was and what I saw, right? My father was actually raised by his father. My grandfather worked for the St. Louis post office. My grandmother was the one that actually walked out on my grandfather, and he raised 6 kids. And that is why I think my father is one of my best friends. It shaped the type of man that he was and how he was when it came to the household and his family. They both worked. They both provided for. When it comes to roles, everything was split, so to speak. They both cleaned. They both cooked. Especially with my dad's schedule being a fireman, there were days that he was off. So I saw that. But what I did not see, is my mom. I never saw like the intimacy between them, right? I never saw my mom as a woman, as a woman. I never saw that feminine side. And I think a lot of it does come from her childhood, right? And that trauma. And it was just kind of, she was very strong. She really didn't talk about a lot of things. She didn't talk a lot. She was just kind of like, you guys need to be independent. You need to be educated. You need to do this. You need to do that. And my dad was the same way. But her as a woman, right? I never saw her as a woman. And I don't think she ever saw herself as a woman. She was just there. She was just a white, she was just a mom, right? I never saw her in the role as a wife. And I never saw my dad in the role I saw him in the role as a husband, as far as a provider and a protector, right? But I didn't see a relationship between them other than like people passing and existing in a home.
Right.
So I never saw my mom, like lay her head on my dad's shoulder. I never saw them watch TV together or sitting in the same room reading books or talking about their day. I never saw my mom lean into my father. I didn't see them cuddle. I didn't see them hold hands. I very rarely saw them hug. So all of those things, I never heard her say like, I miss you. I need you. So all of those things growing up, I thought made a woman weak, right? I was like, oh, women don't do that. That's what weak women do. That's what needy women do. And I took that on, and I was very strong. I was very stoic. My great grandmother, who I was around, since my grandmother had passed, her birthday was the day before mine, December 30th, and she was like that. And my mom was like that. And so when everything came to a head in my adult years, and I was like that, and I was like, you know what? I remember I was sitting down, something came to me, was like, Avery, you are a woman. Don't you know that? It was like, let's look back. Because a lot of people want to blame their, certain ways that they have. Like, oh, well, the father was there. He wasn't there. My father was there. He's one of my best friends. He also told me, he was like, yes, you should be independent. He told my sister and I this, right? He said, you should be able to take care of yourself. He was like, and I don't want you to be with a man who can't do for you the way I've done for you. He said, but if a man leaves you, your light should stay on.
Right.
So he kind of was telling us like, no, if you're with a man, he should be able to provide and protect. And there are things you're going to have to do. He's like, because looks won't cut it, right? He said, your looks will get you in the room, but they won't get you in the room.
Right. Yes, ma'am. I totally agree.
He was like, what else do you have to bring to the table? Right. Because those will fade. So he told us all of that. I've always respected men, and I've loved men, and I've seen their value and their need. I just at one point didn't know how to be a woman, right? And I didn't know, and that's what created a rift, right? Because it wasn't that I didn't see you all and I didn't hear you all. I just couldn't value you on a certain level because I didn't even know how to love a man the way he needed to be loved
Mhm.
because I wasn't giving myself the space to be a woman, right?
Right.
And I had to learn how to become that woman.
Well, that's an excellent expose. You did a great job of breaking it down. And many do understand that negative socialization has played a role to some of the pathologies that a lot of our women are exhibiting. To the 56 that are watching, guys, share the content, get the likes up. You guys are doing an excellent job tonight. And shout out to my homie, Stephen Ray, for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, Stephen Ray. I appreciate it, brother. As we seek to form a more perfect union, Averi Woodley, men are looking for peace. And as I said earlier from the intro, art imitates life. And I'm going to go back and look at one of your clips that you had. You talked about how a woman can speak life into a man. So many men are broken, Averi. They're suffering from a condition that I created, Averi, called affection deprivation. I'm going to be in the show, in a movie actually with Al Grease. Al Grease is a filmmaker out of New York called Frustrated 3. I'm going to have my dear friend El Guapo from Beautiful Lies. We're going to be in that show. And so we're going to have a very powerful show, Chris Strongheart. We're going to be in the movie, and we're going to be talking about why men are beginning to travel abroad. Men are beginning to, how can I say it? They're beginning to take their talents abroad. They're beginning to march with their feet. Because you're correct, beauty, charm is vain, and beauty is deceitful. But who can find a virtuous woman? Because looks will fade. But after the looks, what else do you have to offer a man?
Right.
I tell women all the time, Averi, that men are at their best when they are optimized to be synchronized with the woman that they are dealing with. But there's a crisis in masculine and feminine symmetry that's causing a lot of men to say, to hell with it. Before we go any further into this conversation, Ms. Woodley, I want to ask you a question. Is there a crisis in masculine and feminine symmetry? And if it is, how do we get here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's definitely a crisis. And I feel that one of the ways we got there is from a lot of women. How do I put it? A lot of women that just don't want to take the pants off. They don't want to take the pants off because they think that, there's this whole hustle culture, right? Hustle, boss, babe. I think, Chantel and I talked about that. And it is creating women to lead more in their masculine. And they are further disconnected, right? Because everything that they see is feminine. We're being told that is, that's weak and that you constantly need to be empowered and you need to be driven and you need to hustle and you need to do this and you need to do that. And you don't. So it's like we're taking up the space of the masculine and you don't have that balance. You have to have the masculine. You have to have the feminine. A lot of women do not know how to turn it off, right? And I'm not saying that you have to have a little bit of masculine. They don't know how to disconnect. They don't know how to go from the boardroom to the bedroom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't know how to turn it off when their steps. Oh, sorry. When their footsteps hit the front porch of their home, they don't know how to step into their femininity so they can get and allow their man the space to lead in his masculine, and for them to understand that their power lies in the feminine. So the feminine, to me, femininity is fading more than ever, right? You have a lot of single parent homes where you have women who are the leaders, and they're trying to take the place of the father. And to me, you can have a single parent home and be the mother, but you must understand this. You are not the father at all. You will never be a father. You cannot take the place of a father. And they're bringing up their boys, you know what I'm saying? And their sons are seeing this. And their sons are seeing their mothers, more in their masculine. And you have some women who are raising their boys more in their feminine, right? They don't want to have good male role models for them, whether it's the coaches, the uncles, the grandfathers, whoever. So we're seeing the feminine, honestly, to me, die. It's become like a laughing stock, right? And a lot of women don't understand that their power lies in their femininity. But society doesn't want to tell us that. Society is not telling us, yes, be feminine, be this, be that, because, it empowers you. It's telling us, don't be that. You know what I'm saying? Go against that. Act like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, and think like a man. And it's creating this deficit.
Yes, no doubt. It's definitely creating a deficit. And it's creating a deficit to the point that many men feel like that they're not going to protect women, Ms. Woodley. They're not protecting their ego. I tell women all the time that protection for a man is protecting his ego.
And as I said before in the past, art imitates life to the point, as I said earlier, men are beginning to travel abroad and to get wives. To the 70 that are watching, I love you guys. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. But if you have not donated, donate to the channel. It literally took me 5 hours to put this show together. I mean, when I say 5 hours, I literally mean 5 hours doing all the, the editing and the technical work. Miss Willie, she's a content creator like myself. And Miss Willie, you can speak to the fact that it takes hours to edit content. It literally took me 5 hours to edit this show. But because I love you guys, I want to give you guys the best. We're going to see how art imitates life. I played this earlier, but I'm going to play it again to the 75 that are coming in. How does peace impact the efficacy of a man? Men need love. We're going to play it again for those that are just coming in. Hold tight.
Love for a man is often seen in the form of peace. And peace is often synonymous to what you see on the screen, the ocean and the waves. And also peace is synonymous to being at tranquility. But in many modern times, many men are saying that many modern women don't know how to love them the proper way. And because they feel that many don't know how to love them the proper way, a lot of times many men are saying that they don't see the benefits of love or relationship. In the past, there was a time when men were able to see this, as I'm about to put on the screen. The image of love, or the vestige associated with love, was something that many men from the 90s and beyond that point, or before that point, experienced in the sultry woman to the back, Anita Baker. Anita Baker was the type of woman that personified those old school women, the type of women that were able to say, I apologize, as her song actually rose to melodic rises back in the 90s and the 80s. But the thing about Anita Baker that was so powerful is that Anita Baker knew how to touch not only men in her songs, but Anita Baker was able to touch the hearts of many men through her music. And through that music was a reflection of a time when women were very feminine, women were very virtuous, and women more or less strive, even though they weren't perfect, to try to understand how men operate. But many men are saying in modern times, does a woman know how to adequately love a man? And that brings to the point that many would say no. With women like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, as they talk about some of their very violent music, I don't cook, I don't clean, many modern women see cooking and cleaning as something negative instead of seeing cooking and cleaning as a virtue that can benefit a man in a time where men feel like they're not getting the nurturing that they deserve and or need. It was always said in the past that art actually imitates life. And does art imitate life as it relates to how relationships are being more or less formulated in these modern times? Does art imitate life based on how men feel like or perceive that they are not being treated based on the romanticism called love? Are you a man of modern time that seek to get love like men from the past had, or even the illusion of love? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you guys to remember this as Averi Woodley and I talk about how to love a black man in modern times. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. Join me and Averi Woodley live as we talk about the dynamics associated with trying to give men the formulation, or more or less the illusion of love, in a time where many women were more or less personified Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. Be well.
All right, no doubt. That was one of my classics. But Averi Woodley, do they know, and are they willing to apologize? Because some, Averi, actually feign ignorance when it comes down to understanding the virtue and the power of heteronormative masculinity. I'm going to ask you the question, do they really know? And if they do know, are they willing to apologize in this loaded question?
You know what? I don't feel all of them know.
Okay.
I don't feel all of them know because they don't want to educate themselves to know, right? They don't understand. I don't think they understand the whole dynamic of the whole masculine and the feminine, right? And it just goes back to me saying is that, like, I feel a lot of women aren't going to make any headway with men until they realize that men are not the enemy, right? You cannot you can't attempt to understand something and to see its value and its worth and how to honor it and how to love and how to respect and how to listen and do all of that if you think that they are an opposing force, right? So I think a lot of women need to come to the middle ground and realize, you know what? The black man is not our enemy. We need him. We wouldn't be here without him. We need him. And then to go from that and to understand when it comes to, you know, the masculine and all of that, because, like, here's the thing, like, a lot of women, let's just be honest, they don't apologize, right? We don't apologize. We really don't care to understand, you know, we really don't care to understand. And we use these excuses on why we play like we're Boo Boo the Fool. So we do have some that don't know. But I feel like me, right? There's a lot of things that we don't know, but you get to a certain age in life and you go through certain things where you kind of just have to figure it out. You can't use that as an excuse, right? It's the same thing when people have childhood trauma or have things that they've been hurt from. They have to get to a point where it's on them to heal, right? So it's on us as women. If we want these relationships with men, and if we want these relationships with men, and if we want to be wives, and if we want all of these things, then we have to understand, you know, where men are coming from. We have to understand the importance of masculinity, and that, you know, and that men need to be uplifted, men need to be loved, men need the affection, because they're leaving us. Our black men are leaving us, and I kind of just don't really, you know, I don't really blame them. And we have to learn how to apologize. We have to learn how to apologize.
Right. Yes, ma'am. I agree with you 1,000,000%. Many must apologize. But you know what, Avery? Some won't apologize until they go through what's called an existentialist crisis. That existentialist crisis, Avery, many times will be something of epic proportion. And I'm going to say this succinctly. A woman really loves a man when she can learn how to satiate her emotions for the mission of her man. I'm going to say it again for those in the back. A woman cannot really love her man until she learns how to satiate her emotions. True love for a man is honor and respect. You show your love for that man when you can control your emotions. That's true love, when you're willing to put your feelings aside for the greater mission of masculinity. That's true love. And until women can do that, then you don't really love that man. You love yourself and your feelings more than you love that man. Because I'm gonna tell you something, sweetie. Men are tired. A lot of men are tired. As a licensed therapist, just talking and not as a therapist, but also just talking socially with other men. Men are frustrated. And they've been frustrated a long time, because anytime men begin to tell their story, it's always sequestered under, shaming language. You know, your mama black, who hurt you? Goofy stuff like that, which is a way to control the narrative, which in essence is a form of manipulation. And see, Avery, you know, so many of our women have what's called, cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance actually stands for an acronym that I created called DEAF. They deny the evidence when you present them with the evidence, Avery. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks. They attack the messenger instead of attacking the message. And they do the last thing, they fight you or they flee. So when men are saying, what am I giving to these chicks when I could travel abroad, get fine women, fit women, feminine women, cooperative women, and women that know how to serve a man? Not saying that women abroad are perfect. They're not perfect. Not saying that women abroad don't have flaws. They got flaws too. A woman's going to be a woman. It's just just like men going to be men. But I'm talking about a woman that's disciplined, a woman that's mentally disciplined and socially trained to understand what true heteronormative masculinity look like. And as a licensed therapist, one of the protective factors of masculinity is protecting his ego. As a therapist, we look at things through the lens of protective factors and risk factors. One of the protective factors for most people is having a safe, stable home. But Dr. William Glasser, Ms. Woodley, talked about something called fun, freedom, power, belonging, and survival. A lot of men are saying they're not having fun in their relationships. They don't have any freedom, and they don't feel like they belong. They feel like they're stuck. And because of that, so many men are beginning to come up with exit strategies, or they're just staying single until they can find the woman of their dreams. What say you to that current thing that we're dealing with? What say you?
No, you know what? I mean, I definitely agree. you know, when it comes to men and the relationships, right? First of all, like you said, you know, we don't really apologize. And this is what we do when women are confronted. We're like, what? How dare you? You know what I'm saying? We try to disassociate. We go through all these things or whatever. And we are running our men. We're running our, you know, we are absolutely running our men away. And and like you said, it's not that, you know, other women, other cultures, or other countries are, you know, are perfect, but culturally, you know what I'm saying? They see the value and the need. You know, the man is the leader. He is the king. He is, you know, he is everything. It feels good to have a man by your side, right? Like I was having this conversation with somebody and they were talking about, you know, you see a lot of Black women traveling or whatever. And it's like, are all you guys really traveling by yourselves, or is there a man in the picture, but you don't want to show him? And why don't you want to show him? You know what I'm saying? And why don't you want to, you know, like honor him? And, you know, we don't know how to listen to you all, and we don't know how to love you all. And I told her, you know, I've told a couple of people, it doesn't take a lot, you know, and men are simple, right? Men are simple. They want peace. They want, you know, they want to feel wanted. They, you know, they want to make sure their woman wants them and loves them and honors them and respects them. It's not a lot. And if we could just do that, it makes our life so much easier. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, look, when you give to a man, it's not like you're just submitting. You know, people, first of all, they have a problem with submitting, right? But when you give to a man, you don't understand. When you give to that man, when you give him whatever he needs, right? And men usually tell us what they need and what they want. It comes back to you 100-fold. It comes right, you know, it comes right back to you. But these men, you know, our Black men are feeling empty, right? They feel like they're feeling empty. We are not giving you all what you need. And so why not? Like, why not go get it from somewhere else? You know what I'm saying? Why not go get filled up from somewhere else? Why not be honored by another woman and loved by another woman and respected by other women without the hassle, without the arguments, without the competition in the home, right? Because you guys already have enough on you already, right? You already have the world to go against. Why do you want to come home and go to war with your woman, right? Why do you want to come home and not have the peace? Why do you want to come home and have somebody who does not want to, you know, please you sexually? Because a lot of women withhold sex, and that's an important thing that people don't talk about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
but they do. And the masculine needs that feminine. Like when you're paired and aligned with the right one, it gives to the man, it empowers him, but it actually makes the woman at peace, and it relieves stress from her, and she's able to operate at her highest self as well. So it's like, I'm not giving him that, I'm not this, and now he's not touching me. Like, you know, just hateful, bitter, angry. And I know people don't like to hear that. Angry, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And yes, that could be another emotion that's covering up unresolved hurt, or, you know, or whatever. And then we want to sit up and say, oh, but look at them. They're not dating us. They're not doing this. They're not choosing us. This is, well, why would they? You know what I'm saying? But if you acted like you had some sense, and if you worked on yourself, right? Because you can apologize as a Black, you can apologize and not put the work in. You know, you apologize, own it, and really put the work in and do what it takes to become a better woman, to do what it takes to become an accountable woman, do what it takes to realize that our men have value, and that, you know, honestly, I hate to say it, but like, it's not that Black men don't love us, right? It's they were forced. It's almost like we forced them to kind of go the other way because of how we act. They're like, you know what? All of us are not bad, you know, and a lot of Black men are tired of taking taking the brunt of whatever your dad did or whatever, you know, your ex-husband did, and we're putting it on them. They're like, wait a minute, all of us aren't bad. You know what I'm saying? But if you think that, I'm going to go over here, because you're not going to listen anyway. You're not going to love me anyway. You're not going to submit to me anyway. You're not going to honor me anyway. You're not going to respect me anyway. You're going to, you're going to get mad, and you're going to tell me that I'm worthless. You're going to tell me that I'm no good. You're going to tell me that I'm just like the rest of them. Who wants that? Because I know I'm raising Black boys. You know what I'm saying? And their fathers are too. And honestly, and I hate to say it, yes, would I love for them to be with a Black woman? Absolutely. But the way things are looking, I tell them right now, as long as I do want them to understand, and it's hard. I'm like, hey, I know you guys have run in with some Black girls who are angry, right? They're young girls. I'm like, we're not all like that. And as long as they understand that, if they decide to go to the outside, I don't want them to feel like all Black women are this and all Black women are that. Just like I don't feel like we should label Black men. But I'm sorry, I'm not raising my boys for a Black woman to tear them down. I'm not doing it. Right? I want them to go where they are loved. I want them to go where they grow. Just like I don't want them to tear down, you know, women. But I 100%, I am sorry. Like, it is not happening. I've seen some of the, you know, the girls in their classes and stuff like that. And I'm like, stay away from her. Absolutely. Go over there with Susie. Stay away from this one, you know?
Yeah. You know, and it's sad and it's unfortunate, Ms. Willie. It's very unfortunate. But I'm glad that you are evolving and you're learning. You know, some will never learn, but at least you were willing to take the time and look within yourself. And I know you're genuine because I deal with Capricorn women. Capricorn women are some of the most logical women. Like you said, they stubborn as hell, but they're very logical. That's what I love about them. I feel like when I talk to a Capricorn, I'm talking to a dude. But hold tight, Moonwalker. Shout out to Moonwalker for that $2 super sticker. Thank you, sir. And shout out to hold tight. Shout out to Doberman for that $5 super sticker. Doberman said, why aren't women responding to normal consequences, poverty, disease, negative outcome for children, etc.? Why hate to the point of self-harm? And that's a very good question. I would say that it's hubris. I would say there's lack of self-introspection. And I also would say that it's negative socialization. All of those things play a role in the shaping and the forming of a man and a woman. But because my channel is dedicated to the efficacy of men, I would say succinctly, it's because of negative socialization. Avery, I'm going to pull up your stream that you did recently. Can you hear me there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And you did an awesome job doing it, man. And with your permission, I'm going to take it and I'm going to clip this show that I did when they say they know. So we're gonna break this down. We're going to break it down with the talent, Ms. Averi Woodley. Avery, are you a byproduct, or do you have native ancestry? I know you're a sister, but what's in your bloodline? You look native and Black.
Everything.
Oh, you say
everything.
Everything. Okay. All right, hold tight. We're gonna play it. Hold tight.
Girl, Averi Woodley, welcome to my channel, same team. Quick video, you all, about the power of a woman's words and toxic femininity. Okay, we all know women are birthers, right? We bring things to life, not just from our bodies, but also with our words. Okay, so if we have the power to bring life and to add to someone with our words, we also have the power to take away and to kill something. And I'm not saying that the words from a man do not hold a lot of weight when it comes to women, but because of how men are about respect and how people talk to them, a woman's words are powerful. Okay, we can bring a man up, and we can just as quickly, in the blink of an eye, bring him down with how we talk to him. We can belittle him, we can emasculate him, we can degrade him and demean him sexually. So if you have a man who is like on the edge, right? He's on the edge, he's dealing with stuff. Just from our words, we can just take him and go like, dink, and push him right over the edge. It's like throwing a bomb or a grenade and then just stepping back, right? And when a woman is operating in her toxic femininity, what she will do is she will use her words, okay? And then she'll step back and say, oh my gosh, but I didn't do anything. I didn't touch him. I didn't do this. I didn't cheat on him. No, but you tore him down. Verbal abuse is real, okay? And not to bring them up, but to bring them up, we have Johnny Depp, we have Miss Heard, and that whole situation. We don't know everything that happened, right? We don't know everything that happened, and not take away from the physical abuse or anything like that, but we have heard, our hair's sticking crazy. We have heard some of the audio already on how she was talking to him. And this is a man that was on the edge. This is a man that was broken. He had lost his mother. He was done with opioid addiction, alcoholism, and everything.
Avery, where's the lack of accountability for modern women? And before you answer that question, shout out to my man, Black Fire Nation. Yes, sir, Black Fire Nation. It literally took me about, 3 to 4 hours to put together that 3-minute clip. It took me a lot of time. And guys, once again, I do that because I love you guys. I want you guys to have the best. If you guys love me, please share this content. Get the likes up. To the 76 people that are watching, get the likes up. If you have not donate the Cash App $7Smalls. Thank you to everyone that's donated thus far. But yes, it took me about 4 to 5 hours to put that stream together, that little 3-minute clip. But Avery, real quick there, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to get back to you breaking things down from a relationship perspective. But what does it mean when you, as you were breaking down your scenario about toxicity and how a woman can pour into a man? Because I always said, Avery, that a class of warriors can rise no higher than the nurturers that support that class of warriors. Many of our men are broken. I always said in the past that the man is the sun, because women are vessels. Men fill women up through the nebulous concept called love. But women reflect the power and the glory of a man when she shines her femininity on the masculine. I call it, Miss Woodley, feminine oscillation, just like a fan or a perfume. It sprays on the masculinity of men. But I want you to break down to the audience your expose of what you're talking about the importance of pouring into your man. I want you to break it down.
We all know words are powerful. You know, life and death is in the tongue. We all know words are powerful. And earlier I mentioned that, you know, men don't ask a lot from us, right? But one of the things is that they want to, you know, when a man joins with a woman and chooses his woman, it's because, yeah, he loves her, but he appreciates her, and he appreciates what she can bring to him. And the feeling, like you said, that oscillation, right? The feeling that he gets when we fan it out, whether, you know, it's the positivity, it's the love, it's the nourishment. When you are, it's as if you're watering your garden, right? Women with their words, when it comes to their men, we are watering you, okay? We are nurturing you. We are adding nourishment to your soul, to your mind, and to your spirit through our words. And a lot of women know that, and they use it for manipulation, or they use it to tear a man down. I mean, their words like cut them. And I had a lot of women that commented, that messaged me on Instagram after they saw that, and they were like, absolutely, like, I've done that. You know what I'm saying? We can emasculate you guys through our words. We never have to touch you. We never have to step outside of the house or anything like that. When a woman speaks life into her man, so if people want to talk about power couples, that's where the power really comes from. You know what I'm saying? When we're telling you, when you come into the, you know, if you come into the house or you've had a hard day and we're like, you know what, and we see your head hanging and your shoulders are heavy, you know what, babe, I appreciate you. I believe in you. You know, I know you might have had a rough day, but you got this. I'm here for you. If you need me for anything, you know, lay your hands on him, give him, he can feel that love and that energy, right? We do it through our words. Men need to be nurtured. They need to know that we believe in them, because if they, you know, you guys have a lot on you. So when you're out there in the world, to come home and to hear that, you know what I'm saying? To hear that positive reinforcement, and to hear that love, it's very, very important. When a man comes in the house and if a woman's silent, slam the cabinets, got an attitude, rolling her eyes, you know,
Right.
or when we sit and say, you're nothing, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and we nag and we pick you apart, you're nothing in the bedroom, because women can get low, baby. And anybody, we can go low, and they don't want to admit it, and they want to talk about, well, men do this and men do that. We are very cutthroat and calculated. And the thing that is dangerous is that you can't see words, right? People always want to focus on a lot of the physical, or he stepped out, or he did this, or he did that. You cannot see the damage, the physical, you know, the damage that words do. And even with, you know, with my boys, with their fathers, right? With their fathers, we have amazing relationships, right? Amazing relationships now. And, you know, my son's father, my little son's father, he was like, you know what? He said, because of you, I am the father that I am, because you have given me the space that I need to be that father. He was like, I can come to you and I can talk to you. He was like, and I know, you know, when I'm seeing my patients or whatever, he was like, if I've told you I've had a rough day, you're like, what do you need? Do you need me to take him to practice? Do you need me to do this? Do you need me to do that? And I just feel like that's my job, right? Because in order for him to be the father that he needs to be to my son, because I'm not a father, I can never be a father, right? I have to speak life into him. I have to make sure that he is good. I have to give him those words that are going to fuel his soul, his mind, his spirit, and everything like that. And I do the same thing with my boys. But I have seen a lot of relationships, and I've dealt with a lot of people who the women have absolutely torn the men down. And it could have been them going tit for tat, right? If the man hurt them, then they decide to stick around. But it's like, you decide to stick around to tear him down in the process. So now you're no better than his faults, you know, or whatever. And it's the thing is that if you want to see something water, if you want to see something, you know, grow, if you want a man to provide for you and to protect you, then you have to fill him up so he can go out there and do that. You know what I'm saying? Take some of the ease off of him and, you know, pour into him. You cannot, he can't pour into you if you're not pouring into him. A man cannot pour into the household and pour into the bank account and pour into everything else if you are not pouring into him, because then he will be operating in a deficit.
Well, and many are operate in a deficit. Someone asked you the question, Avery. A seems to no disrespect. You didn't see it in your two-parent household. So why wouldn't it be the best interest of your boys to see it you cooperate with your man?
With the man, I see what they're saying. Right. Okay, so absolutely. So here's the thing. This is my take on two-parent households. Excuse me. I was in a situation where both of us, right? Both of the parents, we were both struggling. We were both dealing with things that we had not yet dealt with. You know, my ex-husband, he didn't know how to be a husband. He, you know, his father wasn't around. I was struggling with, you know, how to be a wife, right? Like I was holding him down. I was able to support. I was able to acknowledge and appreciate him. But my issue was, you know, I was disconnected from my feminine and all of that. What I do not agree with is with two broken people being in one household, because to me, it does more damage. Mm-hmm. All right. So I wasn't able to operate at my highest self and to really sit with myself and do the work until I was removed from that situation. And the same with their father. Like our kids are very blessed. Like we do the birthdays together. We do the sporting events together. We do, you know, regular every day together. They see us working together more now and supporting each other and loving each other more than they did when we were broken in the household. You know, it was one of those situations where it's like you can't heal where you got sick, and we kind of had to take a step back. And it's funny, sometimes when you take a step back, you're able to appreciate and see the need and the value for something more. I actually texted my ex-husband yesterday. I was running around to soccer and I was on my way to our son's soccer game at 7:00 in the morning. And I texted him, I was like, you know what? I was like, you know, we're doing this thing. You know, I was like, I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. I am glad that you are their father. I am glad that we can, you know, walk this part of life out together and that they have us for examples. They've seen us hit rock bottom. They've seen us, you know, unbecome. They've seen us become. I am very open with my children and talking to them with that. So they see the love, they see the value, they see the appreciation more than they did when we were not pouring into each other, when we were kind of like at odds in the same household, you know? So now they have two whole parents instead of two broken parents in one household. Right, and they do have positive relationships in their life. They have seen me in a positive, loving relationship, you know, with a man, and they understand what that looks like. So I definitely make sure that they get all the examples, right? And that they also understand what their mom dealt with and where I fell short when it came to that, and where I am now, and, you know, and how I've grown and how I will continue to grow. So I definitely cover all of that with them for sure.
No doubt. And I'm equally proud of you for more or less willing to introspect and willing to see the deficits and the barriers to your mind that's kept you from being the better version of yourself.
Yes, you know, absolutely.
Many times, Ms. Woodley, you know, we call it the unconscious pathology of not only racism, but also there's an unconscious pathology associated with the things in our lives. And we're not willing to do the self-introspection, that we never become better versions of ourselves, Ms. Woodley, but we actually become saboteurs of our own ignorance. And what a lot of men are saying, Ms. Woodley, is this: when you go to school, work hard, especially being a Black man in America, you know, when you accomplish all the goals and you go to school, you work hard, you're trying to prove yourself. What a lot of men are saying, I'll be damned if I'm going to get a woman that's going to give me mediocrity. If she's not going to give me the best, then I'm going to get better. And what a lot of guys are also saying, Ms. Woodley, you know, I forgot the guy's name. Mike Jones said, back then they didn't want me. Now that I'm hot, they'll all. So a lot of guys are saying, Ms. Woodley, you know what? If you didn't show me love in my 20s, I'm not going to show you love now. But hold tight. Let me read out these cash out super stickers real quick. Shout out to Snuggles. He said, I can't wait until you drop the link so we can have this discussion in real time. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you both. No doubt, Snuggles. Thank you. sir, I think. And then shout out to Barry Hamilton. He said, I'm enjoying the great discussion. The kosher clinician Avery in the house. Best regards to both. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And shout out to Keith Jenkinson. That is a deal, right?
It's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
That is a deal, right?
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Chris Law again. Thank you again, sir. I really appreciate it. Avery, you're doing a great job. I love your insight. I love your acumen. And I love your willing and ability to introspect. But I'm going to drop the bomb on you. You know, like, what's the man name? I can't think of his name. The Gap Band saying, you dropped the bomb on me.
Right.
You know, you're a very cerebral woman, but then someone asked the question, what happened in your relationship? And you share what you want to share. But we're going to get to that in a minute. You share whatever you want to share. I don't want to get into your personal business, but you share what you feel comfortable sharing. But hold tight. Let's finish looking at this this video that you did. You did an awesome job. Hold tight, young lady. Hold tight. And we're going to finish listening to this. All right, go ahead.
And she was tearing him apart. And when you have a man like that and you're tearing them apart when they're already on the edge, it's like, okay, how can I escape this, right? He even wanted to harm himself. How can I escape this? So what I'm telling you is, women, watch how you talk to these men. And I'm not talking about if you're in an abusive relationship, but just watch your mouth, right? Whether it's a romantic relationship or whether it's your son, if you don't like his father, you don't need to be, you look just like your daddy and you're worthless and you're this and you're that. Because recovering from that verbal abuse, recovering from somebody's words constantly tearing you down and it's taking root in you is different than trying to recover from heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot more to do that. So ladies, speak life into the men that are in your life, right? Use your words to encourage and uplift them and to add to them, and you will benefit from it in the long run. All right. Over and out. I don't even know why I said over and out. Bye, guys.
All right. So the talented Miss Woodley. So break that down and explain to the audience what you were more or less trying to pontificate in that expose.
Yes, it's just, you know, we do, like I said, we do enough with our words, right? And when I say that women have the power, like you said, we are a vessel, we birth things. And men need that nourishment. They need that encouragement. They need that love and that support and everything from the women in their lives, whether it's their mother, their sister, their wife, whoever. They need that. And they look to us for that. Like, our words plant seeds, right? I really believe that a woman's words plant seeds in a man. And depending on what we're planting is what's going to grow. So if I am telling my sons, at a young age, you're nothing, you're this, you're that.
Right.
I'm planting that seed in them. That is going to take root and it is going to become a part of them. And that voice of mine is going to come up. I have talked to grown adult men, Black men, right, who had mothers who were not there for them, who had mothers who abandoned them, who had mothers who, destroyed them, who spoke, honestly, kind of like spoke death over them, right? Because if you're not speaking life, you're speaking death. You're killing somebody's confidence. You're killing, you're killing anything that they're trying to bring up. You know what I'm saying? So like, these men talked about that. And it was heavy, right? They're like, you know what? Yeah, I had my father, but he was my mother, right? Like they needed that love. They needed that support. They needed her voice. They needed all of that from her, and she didn't give it. And now, as adult men, they are dealing with that. And so that's what I'm saying is that women, we have the power. You know what I'm saying? We do have something in us to add to our man's life, to speak life into him. And we also have the power to take away from him.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what you said is so powerful. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I hate that this is, you guys, once again, if you guys joined late, it's something with StreamYard. It's not, my connection is great. I don't know what's going on. I've exited, so sorry that I keep freezing, but I can hear you.
Okay, well, glad. You know what? That was so powerful. You dropped some fire for your mind, so hold tight.
Fire for your mind. The kosher tradition.
Yeah, that was some fire right there. Miss Will, I got to put that Leo swag in every now and add a little.
Oh, you're a Leo.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. You see
when is your birthday? Sorry, guys, for the interruption.
I'm August 20th, Leo.
Okay, so you want to hear something funny? My father, who was like Oh my gosh, look at my, like, I love them. Hopefully I
Right.
don't freeze when I'm saying that.
Right,
August
right.
17th.
Oh my goodness, really?
Some of the most important men in my life are like August 17th, August 21st, August 23rd. And like the
Wow.
love and respect that I have for them. You know, Leos are some of the only men that I actually have that I've actually ever listened to. No, but seriously, like the respect, you know, I really, it's just, I don't know if it just works. The respect that
Right.
I have for them is just like unmatched.
Well, we're very big personality, very gregarious. We love hard. We're very creative. As I told you guys earlier, it literally took me about 5 hours to put together those little snippets. But because I love what I do, Ms. Woodley, and I'm very generous with my love and my time, I want to make sure my subscribers get the best. So that's why I do what I do. Shout out to my man, Jay Orala. Jay actually told me about you, dear. You know Jay Orala. He's a good brother.
Love Jay, and I hope,
shout out
like,
to Jay.
I'm freezing on this, but I'm sending you kisses, Jay. Absolutely,
No doubt, he's a good brother. So shout out to him.
Appreciate him. Yes,
for that PayPal, and shout out to Gregory Scotland. Gregory, you are awesome, man. I appreciate your love and support. You always come through. Shout out to D and everyone else, Luke Hayes and everyone else have been supporting me on the stream. I really appreciate it. But back to point, I want to bring something up, Avery. I'm going to show you something because you did an awesome job breaking that down. Mm-hmm. But hold tight. Let me bring this screen up. Hold tight. Let me bring the screen up. And actually, let me see. Can I find? Hold tight. And we're going to break down this clip by this young man because everything that he's saying, Ms. Woodley, is very profound. And he's saying what a lot of men are saying, Avery, but we're going to break it down. So hold tight.
Men aren't obsessed with women anymore, and it's weird.
Hold tight. And so before we start, guys, this is fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is for educational purposes only. This is fair use. Fair use is for educating, it's for critiquing, and it's also for enlightening the brotherhood in these very turbulent times. So we're going to break this down, Ms. Woodley. And so here we go. Hold tight.
Okay.
So I saw this tweet, men aren't obsessed with women anymore, and it's weird. And my first thought was, what the fuck are we supposed to obsess over? We're supposed to obsess over these irrational feminist values and principles? Are we supposed to obsess over these all-time high levels of neuroticism, disagreeableness, selfishness, entitlement, egotistical thinking, narcissism, promiscuity? We're supposed to obsess over these all-time low levels of inhibition and integrity? We're supposed to be obsessing over this overt lascivious behavior constantly exhibited on social media, photos, videos that were once confined to your boyfriend's phones, now on display for the world to see, constantly exposing us.
When you hear that, what resonates through your head? Because masculine men would not tolerate their women disrespecting them in the public. Some women, Miss Woodley, would try to shame men and say, oh, you're insecure. And it has nothing to do with being insecure. The behavior that the woman is exhibiting can make a man feel not secure in the relationship, but it does not mean that that man is insecure by default. A lot of times it's a shaming mechanism employed by ignorant, irresponsible, and selfish women to control and manipulate that man into more or less subverting and submitting to her fickle machinations. But I want you to talk about when this brother broke down that clear pontification. What did you hear that brother say? Because this brother is saying what a lot of men are saying. Tell me what you heard.
To me, what I heard is we're not obsessing over any of you all that are less than. Like, you know, like we're for the, like the women that are for the streets, the women that you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to do anything that a woman is supposed to do. You don't want to be what a woman is supposed to be to a man. You don't want to be a counterpart. You don't want to be, you know, you want to be independent. You want to be separatist. You want to be, like he's talking about, like promiscuous, right? Egotistical, narcissistic, all of these things. And to me, honestly, you can't be a woman with the ego. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one thing I had to learn, is that in order for me to really connect to my feminine and to learn how to be a woman, I had to let go of my ego, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, why would a man, like, what are we asking? It's like, why would I want you? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I want you if you were all of these things, but you were none of these things, right? Mm-hmm. Why? He's like, why would we obsess over that? Because you have to think, when a lot of Black men or men in general see women now, like you said, you're not seeing like, oh, she's so, look at how she enters the room with quiet elegance, right? Look at how she flows, and, you know, look at how she holds, how regal she is, and how she's this. Women don't give that off anymore at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't give it off. I see it when I'm, you know, out and around. We're loud. You know, a lot of us are loud. We're angry. When I look at some of the videos and some of the things that, you know, and I'm not, look, I like to wear tight stuff. I wear low cut stuff sometimes. But some of the stuff that I like to be a woman. I like to feel sexy because I'm a busy mom, right? But there are certain things, like, for example, there are certain things that I would never wear with a group of women because it's like the attention, right? I would only wear it if I was with my man, right? And because I'm also wearing it for him, but I feel more protected, you know, that I could dress a little sexier with him. But when I see some of these girls that are out, like, I don't know what's going on with all these pants that look like pantyhose. Like, they're literally like pantyhose, right?
Right.
Men are seeing this, and men aren't sitting up thinking like, oh, I want to wife you. I want to choose you. They're like, ugh.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because not only you're not for me, you're for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not for me, you're for everybody. So it's how we physically carry ourselves now. We carry ourselves, I hate to say it, like tech kids. You know what I'm saying? And we think it's cute and it's not. And we're like, oh, put a ring on it. Why would a man want to put a ring on that? And then our attitudes, our egos, we are narcissistic. You know, it's this, and I know a lot of stuff is trending. All men are toxic. All men are narcissistic. No, women can be narcissistic too. And I'm sure you know this. To me, I actually think that some women is almost more dangerous when a woman is narcissistic than a man.
Right.
Because a woman has the support of society to be like, no, it's not you. It's him. You know what I'm saying? We can cover ours a little bit more, right? So we can cover it and sneak it away. And it's just like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh no, it couldn't be her. It has to be him. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Like I told you, when I see some of these girls, and when I say girls, it could be somebody that's 30, right? Just because your age doesn't make you a woman. Like I said, I was a wife, and I know we'll get to that. I was a wife and a mother before I was a woman. But it's really like, why? You mean there's nothing out there that is making men kind of like fawn, and fiend over women the way they used to. Like, ooh, when a woman, to me, it's nothing like when a woman walks in and she is just a woman, right? She doesn't have to be loud. She doesn't have to be dressed any kind of way. You can feel her presence and her energy, and men's heads turn. They're like, wait, who is that? I want to know her. Are there more of her? You know what I'm saying? Where does she come from? It's fleeting. You don't get a lot of that. Now you see a lot of men that are just like, you know what I'm saying? I'll take her on a trip. I may sleep with her, but that's all she's good for.
Right.
And that's what a lot of them are. That's what a lot of them are good for now. They're not good enough, to come into your life, to come, to help you build your business or your brand, or to love you, or to support you, or to bring around your family. There are not a lot of women and, out there that men want to bring home.
Yeah. And you know what, Miss Will, I grew up in a time when men did bring the women home. I grew up in the 90s, came out of high school in 90, when you heard songs like The Sultry, Anita Baker, where the women were more willing to say, I apologize. They weren't perfect back in the 90s, but they had a greater level of feminine demure. When we were growing up, we courted more. We would say, what's your name? Our social skills were intact. But now men can't say anything for the fear of retribution, for the fear of Me Too allegations. And because of that, many men, they don't say anything, because anything they say is being held under scrutiny, to the point when it comes down to copulation, many men are saying, Ms. Woodley, you need to give me consent, because you're not going to use that against me 5 or 10 years from now when I'm blowing up and say that I, raped you. So a lot of men are saying, because of all these technicalities, it's taking away the beauty of romance. And I remember a time, and being the Leo that I am, I'm very romantic. I believe in romanticism. I love serenading the right woman, with poetry and poems and candles and kindness and soft music. I grew up in a time where gospel music was powerful, but also secular music was very powerful. But now it's such a hodgepodge. It's a cesspool of mediocrity. I would say less than mediocrity. And what men are doing, they're going to find that feminine oscillation, because men are saying that I can't be my best. And shout out to my homie Al Grease and Frustrated 3. Once again, the trailer has dropped. And at some point, when Grease give me the permission, I'm going to play it. But I'm dedicated, Ms. Woodley, to the empowerment of men. I love to see my brothers happy. I love to see them with a smile on their face. I love to see them beaming with joy when they're under the umbrella of a true feminine woman. It's the most powerful thing in the world besides the power of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
But I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. I'm going to finish breaking this clip down. But I want to ask you this question before I break it down, because I do believe in being kosher. because
that ain't kosher.
And that ain't right.
because ain't nobody got time for that, and I believe in being kosher. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
You talk about how you evolved, but what did you do wrong? Some will argue, she's a pretty woman, she's talking a good game, but what did Averi Woodley do wrong in her relationships, and how did you learn? Did you learn through hardship because you were stubborn, or did you learn because you finally woke up, or did you learn because some say that many model women will be singing that song by Patti LaBelle, I'm on my own? But how did you learn?
Right. No, you know what? I have no problem. I've talked about, some of my stuff in past, streams and videos on my page. And I was hoping that some of you guys would ask me that. And I can tell you enough without getting into there's super, super personal stuff.
Right.
And that was one of the things before my marriage ended. It was like, okay, Averi, let's sit. I'm a believer. So it was like, let's sit back and look at where you failed as a wife. Right. So one thing I will say is that it is hard for a lot of people to separate themselves from hurt or from a situation and to look at themselves in the mirror, right? Because certain things happen and it's easier to be like, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't get there on your own. You got there together, right? Whatever happened, you got there together, and just to separate from people's actions. So to me, it was my job if I was going to come out of that and grow, because one of my things has always been is that I want to become the woman I was created to be. I could not do that without sitting and looking at myself in the mirror. And it was a voice that was like, let's see where you failed as a wife. Right. And that's when I think I mentioned earlier how my great grandmother was and how my mother was. So it was literally like I took a walk down memory lane and was like, you were hard as a woman, right? Like I was hard. Now, here's the funny thing. I was loyal. I was supportive. I could speak life. That stuff came natural to me, right? That was easy. That was easy for me to see that a man was a provider and to respect and to be like, okay, I will take care of the home and I will do X, Y, and Z so you can go out there and, fulfill your destiny. And to do this, I am okay, being at home and making sure that you have peace here so you can go out and provide and and become your highest self. I was fine with that. What I was not okay with and didn't know, it is because I didn't know, right? I never really, when my, ex traveled, I could count probably on one hand how many times I told him, like, I miss you or I need you. Not telling him like, I miss you or I need you so you to stop what you're doing and to come home, but just so he could get that message, right?
Yes, ma'am. Right.
I didn't know how to do it. Even though I might have thought it, I literally could not even verbalize it because I had never seen it. And remember, I told you, like, I thought all of those things, right? The things that women do like that men need and that make us women, I thought it made me weak. I didn't really, like I told you, I never saw my parents hold hands. I never saw, and really I didn't see anybody do it, right? So it's not even that they were talking to me and saying like, oh, this is natural. I never really saw any examples of that. So I never would have necessarily like curled up next to him, right? Or did any of those things. I was out of touch with my feminine when it came to, as a woman, right? And that's what interfered. That's where I failed at as a wife, right? I feel like as a wife, you are supposed to be able to say, babe, I miss you. I need you. Let me travel with you some. There were times that he would say, hey, can you travel with me? Because he traveled a lot. Who's going to take care of the kids? I'm going to be here. I got to do this. I got to do that. Right. Like that kind of stuff. And not understanding that in that moment, he was saying like, no, but I want you by my side. Right. Right. And I was showing up by his side, during fights or doing training camps like that. Like I'm telling you, that was my strong suit. Like, hey, you go out there and do what you got to do. I'm going to hold this down or whatever. I got it. You know what I'm saying? He never had to worry. If the kids were sick, I wasn't letting him know. But it was like, where is my woman? I wasn't a woman. I was a wife and I was solid. I was not a woman. You cannot be a good wife if you are not a woman. And that is where I had to come, that's where I came from. When he said like, hey, I felt like you never needed me the way a woman needs a man. I remember the first time he said it, I was like, what? I didn't even know what that meant. I'm like, what do you mean? Every one time he said, he was like, I feel like you don't love me. I'm like, I don't love you. I pray for you. I fast. You know, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Because that was how I showed my love to him. But I didn't know how to love a man. You know what I'm saying? How a woman loves a man, because I was not a woman. And that's where it goes back to saying I was a wife before I was a woman. So those were the areas I felt that it wasn't like, you know, me having a problem with him leading and providing and having a career and I was at home. It wasn't any of that kind of stuff. When women say like, oh, I would never be at home, I would never, it wasn't that. I was truly just connected for my feminine. And I remember something was like, look at your mom. Why was your mom? Look at your mom's actions. Did you ever see her soft? You know what I'm saying? Did you ever see her flow? Did you ever see her operate in her feminine? And I didn't. It was like, okay, now your mom was like that. Let's look at your grandmother, right? She was an alcoholic. She died at the age of 49. Your mom never saw it. Now let's look at your great grandmother. And that's the one who I was also around. Beautiful woman, but just very cold, right?
Right.
A woman, a loving woman, but very like hard as a rock, like made of steel, right? Right. So my lineage of women, they were all like that. And I was like, damn, like from me feeling the way I did, right? Disconnected from my feminine, not knowing how to be a whole woman, it was taking a toll on me. I was like, I don't want, so when I had my daughter, I was like, I don't want this. Right. You know, I want to change the course of the women that come behind me. Yes, I want her to know what strength is, but I want her to know what real strength is of a woman, right? Everything that she has inside of her is what makes her a woman. It's okay to tell a man that you love him. It's okay. Like, I didn't know how to say, like, I need a hug. It was stuff like that. I didn't know how to cry. Like, I didn't know how to let any emotions out. I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I had a guard around my heart. I didn't know any of that. Like, I was scared to be a woman. I was scared to be open. And being a woman is being open, and it is being vulnerable. Right. It is being in tune with your emotions and all of that. So that is where I failed. And that's why I was like, no, I got to get this together. You know what I'm saying? Right. And when I heard that voice, remember I told you I heard that voice was like, Avery, you do know that you're a woman, right? And I was like, oh. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I have no problem bearing it all and putting my emotions, and being open and being vulnerable. And it actually added to my life. Like I was suffocating myself. I was literally suffocating myself. It's like I put myself in a steel box, and a man can't operate with that, right? A masculine man, he can't have that. It's like, I can't even connect with you. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was a business partner. That's literally, it's like I was just a soldier, like just soldiering on. I was not a woman. And that is where I failed as a wife, 100% for sure. No doubt. And it sounds like vicarious trauma, but also stoicism. And let me say this, everything is not trauma. Some of it is just rebellion. People always say trauma. No, it ain't all trauma. Trauma does play a role, and negative socialization does play a role. I'm not trying to minimize that. But some of it is just being rebellious, stubborn, and immature. Shout out to my man, Christopher Law. That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? I appreciate it, Chris Law, for that $10 super sticker. That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Angry Man, a powerful content creator. He is from the Tar Heel State, like myself. Him and my man Edward Anderson, as he talks about mentally transmitted diseases, and he said, "Ooh wee, she cooking." Salute, brother, to the culture clinician. No doubt, she is cooking. I love that. That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? And that's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Tonight, and I really appreciate everything you're doing, because everything you're doing is so clear. You're speaking with great clarity, with great conviction. Every time I hit you with an uppercut, you come back. So you're definitely a mental. I call you a mental prize fighter, because you definitely know how to throw them jabs. But hold tight. We're gonna finish looking at this as this young man is breaking it down. Hold tight, young lady. Hold tight.
And desensitizing us to the female body. We're supposed to be obsessing over these detrimental mentalities and pernicious attitudes and behaviors that aren't conducive to a healthy relationship? Why in the hell would we do that? We're not obsessing because the traits that we normally obsess over, feminine in class, a pleasant disposition, interdependent, emotionally stable, and mentally healthy, those traits have depleted significantly. Women aren't women anymore, and that's weird.
Please do for a living.
And the crazy thing, Avery, when men talk about being women again, it's always met with ill repute. But hold tight. This is my dear friend, Shalakimia Moffat. She always brings it as well. And I'll probably try to get you three ladies, her, Chantel, and you again, to come back on. But keep listening. Hold tight.
He's a skyscraper.
Say again.
Oh man.
Say again. He does what?
I say he's a skyscraper. That's what I said.
What does that mean?
Well, let's just simplify it. He puts elevators into buildings.
And so basically, Avery, there are many modern women that more or less berate or shame men for their status, for their money. You know, they say $50,000 is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what men got years ago, Avery, and we know that we're living in modern times, but what men got years ago, they got a woman that was wife ready, wife worthy, a woman that was mostly chaste, and she hadn't had a lot of fun. Men are saying now that modern women want top tier men to do traditional things, but they're nowhere near traditional like their predecessors. Why is that?
Absolutely. Because the world is telling us that we don't need to be. I'm telling you, like a lot of women, they do not, like he said, women aren't women anymore. You know what I'm saying? In the previous clip, women are not women anymore. And I can't even say that we can blame it. I mean, we can talk about the women that are in their lives, right? So you have, I like to tell people, like, we got a lot of broken women raising broken women, right? We got a lot of angry women raising angry women. We got bitter women raising bitter women. And, you know, women now are being told, like, I can do it on my own. And some of it is culture. It's their girlfriends. It's everything, right? I can do it on my own. They're having all these brunches and all these meetings and all these girls trips. And it's like, okay, but when you go home at night, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the accolades and all the degrees and everything like that, those can't comfort you. Those can't you can't be wrapped up with that or whatever. It doesn't take the place, it doesn't take the place at all of a man in the least, right? But you have you just have these women or these girls or ladies. I mean, I'm calling them women for now, right? But to me, women is an evolution. You have to evolve into a woman, right?
Right.
But you have these women who just see men as, like I said, as nothing. So we want you all, here's the thing. We want you all to come to the table with all of these things, right? You have to make a certain amount. You have to, dress a certain way. You have to be a certain height. You have to drive a certain car. You have to have this, and this. And I'm just showing up. Right. Because what I have between my legs is enough. That makes me a woman. Absolutely not.
Absolutely
now, I will tell you guys this. And I used to hate when my dad used to tell us this. Mm-hmm. And this is back in the day, obviously. I was, born in 1982. We didn't have cell phones, right? So it's not like we could zone out to our phone when we're in the car. He would wait until we were like in close quarters and we couldn't escape. Both my parents did this to us. And they would talk to us in the car, right? Turn the radio down and like drill us with stuff. And my dad was like, what you have between your legs, every woman has.
Boom.
Right. He said every woman has it. Doesn't make it special.
Right.
And the same thing like you said about the looks, right? But you have women who feel like that is enough.
Right.
That is enough. And like, we don't have to work on ourselves. And
right.
And, I will say, and I say this all the time, I do blame a lot of the women empowerment movements. Not that they're all bad, but it's fake empowerment. It's not real empowerment. You're not empowering the whole woman. Right. A lot of these people have their own personal feminist political agendas behind these movements. And you have people backing them and women are jumping on board and they are pushing their own narrative, right? They are pushing a narrative that is causing more divide. They are pushing a narrative that is telling women, you don't need to check yourself. All you need to do is shea butter, coconut oil, educate, travel, and drink water, right? And that's what they're thinking that they need to do. And it's like, and so we are arriving, right? We're coming into these relationships like that. And if we're educated, if we have any type of degree, or if we have any type of good job, or if we're an entrepreneur, it's like, oh, bow down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be blessed and thankful and humbled that you are with me, with a woman like me, that you are with me. I don't need to do anything else for you but to be here. My presence is enough.
Mhm.
Your presence is not enough because it's going to be the presence of somebody else taking your place.
Wow, that's true, and that's powerful, and that's definitely fire for your mind, because what you're saying
Fire
is true
for your
and
mind.
very important, and everything that
The
you're
culture,
saying definitely
clinician.
sounds like a woman that gets it now, and a woman that has evolved. Shout out to my man Byro Hamilton for that $5 super sticker. He said, "Respect to TKC and Avery for an engaging conversation, loving the content, keep growing, no doubt. We have no other choice." A lot of people are loving the vibe, Miss Woodley, and I love the conversation, and we would definitely do it again. I love your intellect, your acumen, and your personification of feminine virtue as you seek to evolve in these very turbulent times. Well, let's finish listening to this clip by Chantel Timon, and I want you to use your Capricorn logic as you look at the foolishness of what this woman is saying.
All right.
Hey, baby.
Hey, what's up, baby?
Hi. So, I have a question.
What's that?
So, I was shopping today and I was wondering if you could buy me the new Gucci press. It's beige, colored, big, it's gorgeous. Leather.
Babe, I can't afford that.
What do you mean you can't afford a Gucci press? See, this is what I'm talking about. You cheap as hell.
Leave me there.
What do you mean, like
Yeah, cut me off. Break up with me. I'm cheap, right? Why even with me? If I'm cheap. Matter of fact, I can save a lot more money without you. Break up with me.
And wait for more red table talk and more entanglements and no more entanglements. No more entanglements.
Will, grab your balls and leave, partner. She keeps emasculating you in public, and she is making us all look bad and foolish. This is beyond bad.
Hey, y'all.
So I want to ask you a question, Avery. Why do women feel like they can emasculate their men in public, but also feel that it's always about them? In the clinical world, we call that narcissistic traits, whereas narcissistic personality disorder is mostly in men. Why do we do that? But before you answer the question, shout out to Clement Gray for the $5 super sticker. He said, "Kosher, it amazes me that we are called believers when it comes to marriage, we don't believe enough to follow the word." So do we really believe? And I agree with Clement 1,000,000%. You got women that have a condition called biblical a la carte. They pick and choose what parts of the Bible they want to live by. But Titus 3:5 clearly says, Miss Willie, wives, obey your husbands. It clearly says in the book of Corinthians that God is above Christ, Christ is above man, man is above woman and children, if you believe in the mandates of the gospel. If you don't believe in the gospel, I'm not talking to you. Right. But why is it that we have this cognitive dissonance where so many women rebel against God's law, they rebel against masculine law, and they wonder why they sing that song by Teddy Pendergrass, "The whole world is laughing at me, I'm silly fool." Break it down for me.
Because they believe that God is a woman.
Hold tight. Say, hold up, Miss Willie, because that. Hold up, that. Hold tight. That
Fire for your mind. The kosher condition.
Tell me again. You said that they believe that God is a woman. Break it down
God
again.
is a woman.
All right,
So
educate the masses.
Okay, they believe God is a woman based on so even the clips, the clip that you just played, and you were talking about, the ego and the narcissistic traits or whatever. It's women are believing that they are gods, right? I spoke on the movements and everything like that. The empowerment movements, we are turning women into false idols. To me, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. you're talking, you're not supposed to worship false idols. Women are turning into false idols. We want to be idolized. We want men to idolize us. We want to sit high and look low, right? Like we're God, right? We're sitting high and we're looking low and say, "Oh, what are you little men down here doing?" You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why can't you separate? What are you doing? No, I'm God, because you can't correct God. It's like you don't correct God. You don't question God. You don't do this. You don't do that. God doesn't submit. God, God is God. I am a God. Women are believing that they are gods. And because we are constantly being told or telling each other or being told when we grow up or being told by society that we do not need men and that we are better off without men and that we can do it on our own. I can't imagine a world without men. I'm just putting it out there. I don't want to be in a world full of women. It's gonna go to hell. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna go to hell. And I'm not saying that, but there's a reason why there's both of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There is a reason why there is both of us. We are more powerful together. I have been able to operate at my highest aligned with the right man. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm good and I'm whole, but it's like when you're aligned with the right one, what it brings out. There's been studies even in corporate America where you have men in certain positions and they have a woman on their right hand side. They're like, no, I'm more creative. The deals get done. You know, when I have the right feminine energy aligns. But the problem is that women believe that they are God. And we have so many people pushing that narrative that women are God. We are blameless. We are perfect. We can do no wrong. And any wrong that we do, right? Any mistake that we do, obviously, is because a man was behind it, right? And because, you know, a man made us do it. And that's what it is. It's like we're just operating like we're spotless and blameless and we're sitting high and looking low. And men are beneath us, right? Like men are beneath us. We cannot stand to be corrected. If it's a relationship between a man and a woman, there's one person that needs to work on themselves, and it's not the woman.
You sure you're not a dude, man? Because damn, you ain't logical, man. You're too logical to be a woman.
You know what? I've heard that. I'm telling you, I was a hot man. I'm telling you though, it comes from like I'm still a work in progress. I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me. I think some of it is it's a gift, right? Honestly, I'm not. I don't know if anybody on here is like really spiritual, but like I feel after I was able to sit with myself and see some of the things where I went wrong, I feel like a lot of more wisdom was imparted on me. And, you know, and something was like, hey, you need to speak on this. This is stuff that I never thought I would have spoke on, right? I never thought I would share this. I never thought I'd put myself on the chopping block. And, you know, as a woman, right, in the areas where I failed and what I worked on. But that's what it is that we honestly, we feel that way. I talked to my oldest son's father, you know, and just if people want to know the history, we met in college. I went to Michigan State. He's one of my best friends. And he was like, you know, I was with this girl, basically, you know, with this woman. And it was like, I can never do anything right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, she was perfect. She was this, she was that. I was like, yeah, because she was educated. She had a great job and she was with you. And that was enough. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like she wanted you to be thankful. She wanted you to bow down and kiss her feet and wash her feet as if she was God. Because you should be honored to be in a relationship with a woman like her.
Right.
Not realizing that she should be honored, just as honored and humbled to be in a relationship with a man like him.
Right. That is powerful. Shout out to my man Doberman. He said, menial jobs and useless degrees, drunk on arrogance. And that is so true. Sadly, many are drunk on arrogance. Shout out to my man James Turner. It's been a while, brother. Thank you, James Turner. James Turner said, hey, coach, just send the support to the chat. Sounds like a great discussion. And
that's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
James Turner for your kindness.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
In these very turbulent times. I want to ask you a question, Miss Woodley, because the thing I love about you, like I said, every time I hit you with a left, you come back strong. You be buttoned like the sea goat that you are. But I want to ask you a question. Some say, why don't you get back with your husband, one? And then number two, if you chose not to get back with your husband, would you let a man discipline your daughters and your son?
Oh, yeah. So, you know, we've honestly talked about it. Honestly, like you know, what I will say is that I was married almost 10 years, right? Which is a lot for some people now. You know what I'm saying? We were blended family. I was not the type of person. I never threw like, oh, divorce. You know, some people throw that around like a weapon. I never did that. And I also said that I would never leave anything if I had regrets, right? Like I apologize actually for the wife, you know, for who I was as a woman outside of anything that happens, right? A lot happens in our relationship that I won't disclose on here. But apart from that, I remember when I came to him, I was like, you know what, if there are any areas where I failed you as a wife, I am sorry. I didn't know better then, you know what I'm saying? But I'm still sorry. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to work on that. And, you know, we talked about it, and honestly, we are good. You know what I'm saying? Like I am blessed. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship. I don't know how we got there. You know what I'm saying? It took a lot of work. He even says the same team. Like he texted me today and he was like, hey, you need a break. Same team. He was like, we are the same team. and it is healthy and it is good. And I just feel like I am not the same. Like I said, I am not the same person that I was at all when I was in that marriage, right? And I used to think I was good then. I was like, but I'm even better now. I am not the same person. He has grown and evolved in a different, way as well.
Right.
And that's just what it is. That's why, we're not together, but it's good where it is right now. And then as far as another man disciplining my children, absolutely. Here's the thing. If I trust a man enough and love a man enough to be able to, and I have a relationship with him and he is then around my children and we are in, whatever we're in, then yes, please, because see, if I love and respect him and honor him, then I know that whatever he says to my children, I am not going to like necessarily go against, right? Why would I bring somebody around them or have a man in their life if I was not going to respect him, right? Mm-hmm. And if I was not going to let him be the man and be one of the men in their lives, right? Like I feel like it takes a village, right? It definitely takes a village. I'm not gonna say you're not their daddy, that's for their daddy, because what if their dad is out of town? Like I need the voice of a man sometimes. There's times I've been like, I've had to call up their dad if he was traveling or call my dad or what, and be like, hey, like they need the voice of a man. You know what I'm saying? But like I don't understand. I saw a clip before when somebody asked that to a woman, like, would you let a man discipline your children? And it was basically a scenario, and she kind of like instantly took the child side without even asking the man. But my whole thing is that like, no, I would not let a man in my life or around my children that I did not trust and respect, wanted the best for them, and that was not going to correct them the way the way that he felt that he should as a man. And I feel that kids need the discipline of a man, right? They need the discipline in the voice of a man, whether, like I said, it's an uncle, it's a coach, it's whatever, right? They need those positive male role models. So yeah, absolutely. Please discipline them, because I feel like sometimes they definitely mute my voice out.
Well, yeah, I know they mute your voice out. I'm sure they call you all kinds of names. They say the women that protect men and not protect men, but try to affirm masculinity, they call women like you and Chantel Simone's and also Shalakimia Moffat, they call you ladies the male version of a simp. But I think that's wrong and it's foolish.
Right. I've been called a pick me a million times.
Right. Pick me, mammy. And what they don't understand is that, every woman aspired in the past to be a pygmy. You're not offending a woman by calling her a pygmy, because most women wanted to be picked by a good man, a righteous man. I'm not talking about a dusty man. But they say, well, a woman that more or less advocates for men is the male equivalent of a simp. And I'm going to tell you why that logic is a flawed logic. If you believe in the edicts of theology, the gospel says that the woman was made for man. Not only was she made for man, she was made to reflect the glory and the image of her man. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. As she reflects him, then the man supports and loves her. So many women ask the question, Miss Willie, what happened to chivalry? And I would say that modern women destroyed it, because back in the past, whether you believe in it or not, the woman was the property of a man. And many men back then, they protected their woman because that was his woman. She was bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. And that man was willing to put his life on the line for that woman because he saw her as a pearl of great cost. She was wife ready. She was feminine. Many of them were virgins back then. And she knew how to serve and honor her man. But so many modern women now, Miss Woodley, they want the benefits of a traditional man while they remain modern. And what masculine men are saying, they say, oh no, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. Because the more masculine a man is, the more he's going to demand from that woman. And so what a lot of men are saying is that they're going to countries like where Luke Case is from. She's from South America. She's from Venezuela, where those women in Colombia and also in Venezuela, they are trained and conditioned to honor and respect their men. And the crazy thing about it, there, for men that got money and status, they can get a younger, prettier woman. Women over there are very attractive. They're not perfect. They're not perfect by any means, because a woman is a woman. But I'm going to do a show at some point, Avery, called Kosher Hypergamy versus Carnal Hypergamy. Mm-hmm. Kosher hypergamy is fit and proper, meaning a woman needs a man to protect her, provide, and give her the things that she needs. A woman that believes in kosher hypergamy is very cerebral. She's very disciplined and she's very mature. But carnal hypergamy is true to the point of exploitation, where she seeks to exploit that man at his own demise. And many modern women practice carnal hypergamy. Carnal comes from the word carne in the Greek, which means the flesh. And so they seek to destroy men based on their own selfish needs. But what many men are doing now, they're saying that I want a woman that practices kosher hypergamy. Because a woman that practices kosher hypergamy is a woman that do things fit and proper. She wants a man to provide for her. She wants a man to protect her, but she's willing to honor and submit and respect that man. And so many men are beginning to wake up. Some don't like it, but many men are waking up. They're seeing what their rights are, and they're not settling for mediocrity in a time where many women are very arrogant and many have hubris. We're going to finish listening to that, dear. You're doing an awesome job. Hold tight. Let me hit this stream back and we're going to break it down by Charlotte King. Hold tight.
All right, so listen. So I put a post up, and it was a post of a young man wearing a t-shirt. Y'all remember the post. If you don't, go back and look at it, but I'm about to read it to y'all, so y'all don't got to do all that, okay? It's the t-shirt says, your mama is black, your sister's black, your grandma's black, you're black, but you don't want a black woman. To be honest with you, I don't agree with that. And I'm going to tell you, this is why. I don't think black men don't want black women. You understand what I'm saying? I think black men are tired of arguing with black women. I think they're tired of the bashing, of them. I think they're tired of toxic, bitter, and miserable black women. We got to be real onto that. It's not that they don't want to deal with us. They don't want to deal with our mouth, our attitude. They don't want to deal with the stuff that comes from previous relationships that has nothing to do with them. They don't want to deal with the disrespectful kids that y'all got. You feel what I'm saying? Because they shouldn't have to deal with that. Because on the flip side, we don't want to deal with stuff like that. But last week, black women was just saying that they wanted to get a rich white man and be like Eve. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shut up. Okay? Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Women
That's my girl Charlotte came here.
Sit on social media, you sit around, everybody killing everybody, but you never tell the truth that it's been 1,000 shootings and homicides trickle back down to you running your fucking mouth or you calling somebody and exaggerating because you feel disrespected. Stop calling people. You get in an argument with somebody on the block, that's it, leave it there. You call your brother, now these niggas going through it the whole summer, and then somebody's child die about it. That's your fault.
Talk about, or more or less juxtapose, how do we love a black man? This is a very powerful discussion, Ms. Woodley, but how do we adequately love a black man? And before you answer that question, why is femininity vital to the mental health of a man, in your opinion, dear?
Because, we were, like you said, a woman was created for man. To me, I feel like, people say, oh, well, men should be whole, women should be whole. We are. But when you see these things like power couples, this, and this, I am telling you, I've seen it firsthand. When you have a man and he has the right woman, you know what I'm saying? The right woman by his side, in his life, connected to him, unstoppable. Right. Absolutely, to me, unstoppable. But what we fail to realize is that she is unstoppable as well. And I'm one of those women, I can't do it all on my own. I don't want to do it all on my own. I want to be, even if I could do it on, I don't want to. I know as a woman, I was created as, a partner, as a helpmate. That is where I thrive. You know what I'm saying? That is why it's easy for me to speak life to men. I thrive from that. It energizes me. And I know with men and the masculinity, you have to have both. You have to have the masculine. You have to have the feminine, not just within yourself, right? Well, some people are like, oh, well, men have a little bit of feminine. It's not the same. The masculine man has to have that feminine woman. He has to have that in his life, because when he has that, it's like, you know what I'm saying? In every area, everybody wants to talk about thriving and showing up as your highest and greatest and grand self and all of that. That's when it happens, when it is aligned. I have had masculine men, what people would call the alpha men, right? Super successful, high six figures, everything like that. They're like, you know what? It feels good to come home to my woman. Yes, I've traveled the world. I may have had tons of women, but it feels good to have that one woman that you can trust, that you know loves you, that you know is going to take care of you, that you know is looking out for you, that you know when I'm out here giving and answering questions and solving problems for everybody else, that I can come to my woman, I can come home and I can rest with her. You know what I'm saying? And I have that support and that love and that nourishment. Like, they're like, I need that and I want that, but I don't know where to get it, right? Like, I don't know where to get it. When you have, like, men don't mind treating women, buying stuff or whatever, if you are giving something to them. And you showed a couple of clips. We have a lot of women, I call them Draculas, leeches, right? And it's just take, right? We just suck the life up out of you, like, and not in a good way, but we suck the life up out of you. And it's just like, and then that's it. And then when we're done with you, we can go to the next person. I told somebody before, I was like, there are certain women, you know, there's certain flags you need to watch out for. I was like, she's not with you. She's not with you, who you are as a man. She's not with you because of your character and because of how you carry yourself and how you make her feel. Because the right man also makes a woman feel safe, right? A man becomes our safe space and we feel like we can rest in him. But she will go, a woman who's not like that, she will go to the next highest bidder. Those leeches and the Draculas, she will always go to the next highest bidder in the room. She's constantly looking for a come up. So she's the woman that if a man says, excuse me, honey, babe, I got to go to the restroom, right? You're out, you're in a swanky place, whatever, you know, she's looking good. There's other men around who may or may not be with somebody else, but you get up to go to the restroom. She has her head on a swivel. She has that look in her eyes. Like, I'm not taking, like, if you come to me and if you have something that I feel like I can get, I will leave him with the quickness and I will come to you, right? Mm-hmm. But those are also the women that eventually they're going to run into a man who's going to be like, nah, baby, like, this ain't it, right? She's going to spend her years, her best years, doing that kind of stuff. And then she's going to be left alone and she's going to try to circle back and get the men that she passed over to wipe her and to choose her. And they're going to be like, nah. First of all, you're run through, and like you said, back then you didn't want me. Now I'm hot, you all on me. But those women have no loyalty. Their loyalty doesn't lie. You know what I'm saying? With the man, but it doesn't lie with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're for the streets. Those are the lady of the night. They're for a moment. They're for a moment. They're not for a lifetime. And you know, that's that. That's that.
And you know, I always tell men, Avery, never to fall in love, but love their woman through reason. Mm-hmm. And I say that because when you fall in love, you literally fall. A man should love God first. That's his first level, because before there was woman, Adam was a worshiper of God, or Yahweh, or Elohim. Mm-hmm. He worshiped God. He was in love with God. And his second love was his purpose. His purpose was to name the animals and have dominion over the earth, if you believe in theology. Mm-hmm. But what Adam did, he failed when he failed to correct his woman when she was out of order. He loved her at the time more than he loved God and his purpose. And even though the woman was the one that committed the atrocity, he allowed her because he did not guide her and lead her. Mm-hmm. And that's why I tell men to love God first. Love your purpose second, and your woman comes third. Because watch this, if you love her more than you love God, as you said earlier so eloquently, then you make that woman an idol. And when that woman decides to leave you, and according to statistics, 70 to 90% of divorces are initiated by women, Ms. Woodley, then what will you have to fall back on? Mm-hmm. But when you are a lover of your creator first and your purpose second, when she leave, you'll be singing that song by Eddie Kendricks, Keep On Trucking, Baby. Because even though it might hurt, you will never lose your inner sanctum as a man, because that inner sanctum is that holy place, that special place where only God and certain men can go to fortify the mind of a man. And so many men like Will Smith, Avery, they fell in love with the woman instead of falling in love with their purpose. It's left them to be in a state of ill repair. And that's why I'm so passionate, but also so adamant about men learning to love themselves first. Because I'm going to tell you something, Raekwon and Man don't care about you. Raekwon and Man going to hit and they keep it moving. They don't think nothing about you. They don't give a damn. And because what it does, that woman is constantly seeking his validation. But you're a woman, a very cerebral woman, but a man that's always groveling and chasing a woman, that's very unattractive to women. Mm-hmm. Women like men that respect themselves, honor themselves, love themselves. That's why women tend to like taller men. because they want a man that they can look up to. Like I'm 6'5", 6'6". Women tend to look up to a man because looking up to him is a sign of strength. Now, that's not to say that men that are shorter than me cannot be great men, because there's some great men that are shorter than me. But it's the illusion of power, Avery, that so many women like. They like the illusion of power, just like men like the allure of a woman, her hips, her symmetry, the corpulence of her backside. Because to that man, that symbolized fertility. To that woman, it symbolizes power. And so when men and women come together in synchronicity, it's a powerful explosion. A true feminine woman and a true masculine man coming together, it's one of the greatest power on earth besides the Holy Spirit. It's so powerful when a woman is dancing with a man, when the man is dancing with a woman. It's like they both are jousting, but they are jousting in perfect symmetry and balance. And it's so powerful and it's so beautiful. And so many men are looking for that. They're looking for a woman that they can say, she's loyal, she got my back. I ain't got to worry about her on Instagram, showing half of her body. I don't have to worry about her on Facebook showing her body. I don't have to worry about her texting her ex, or more or less when men are coming to her DMs, she's not checking them, and say, look, I got a man, please stop texting me. But she's more or less getting that validation because women love attention. Why have so many women, Miss Woodley, been slaves to attention in their base nature? Because a lot of women don't understand this. Watch this. A man can be in your DMs telling you, queen, goddess, you're a queen, and all this goofy stuff. But out of that 100 men, that woman's gonna only take 5 or 10. She's gonna use the rest for attention. But what women don't understand, they say, I got options. No, my dear, you got penis options, but you don't have husband options.
Absolutely.
Why are so many women ignorant to how men think and operate? Because men have got a gross over-representation of themselves. Break it down for the audience, please.
One, we don't care to, a lot of women don't care to learn how you all operate. Mm-hmm. It's like, why would I learn how to operate? Because that goes back to me thinking that a lot of women feel that they are gods, and that men are beneath them. So it's like, oh, why would I even bother? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here doing all this boss babe stuff. Why would all this independent woman stuff? Why would I even bother to find out what a man wants or what a man needs or anything like that, And they feel as if, because the ego, right? The ego is like, ooh, more men. Like I talked about how I was having that conversation with someone and it was a man and he was like, look, ain't no way you can tell me all these women are on trips and doing all this lavish stuff. They have their girls, they'll show them, but a lot of them will show themselves at dinner and you can tell that there's a man there. And I understand keeping certain stuff private. I do like to keep relationships private to an extent, right. But there's a difference between being private and being sneaky, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason why some of them don't want to show that person is either because, like I said, they're working on their next one. You know what I'm saying? Their next victim, so to speak, right? I can't let you see this victim because I got another one in the works or whatever. But the women with the egos and the narcissistic personalities, of course, they want the attention of all the men, right? And yes, you can't control, who likes a picture or who, whatever. But like in the DMs and all that kind of stuff, they're saying, like you said, I have options. And it's like, none of these, most of them aren't, I'm not saying that none of them are worth anything, but like there's only a few love stories that come from the DM. You know what I'm saying? There's only a very, very few. And yes, that is the way we operate now. Yes, social media is an amazing, Instagram, Facebook, they are amazing platforms. You can connect with a lot of people. But a lot of what you are attracting in the DMs, and they're saying that I have options or I have this, or they look for that validation, right? They look for that validation because at the end of the day, they are disconnected. These women are disconnected from their feminine. If they were connected to their feminine, they would not have to seek validation. Now they may post something and see, I post stuff, right? Men come to my comments, men come to the DMs, but I don't need those to understand who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I don't need those. But if I was disconnected and if I did not know who I was, right? Who I was as a woman, who I was as a person, I would be looking for that in the comments. I would be looking for that in the DMs. I would be looking for that in what you called, the men who aren't worth anything, right? Because I'd be searching. It's the same thing when people talk about a woman who grew up without a father in the household and she searches, as a young woman, she is searching for a certain type of love and attention from different men and different males or whatever. As a grown adult women, if you don't know who you are as a woman, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna need this constant validation, right? And a lot of these women, they're dressed up as women. You know what I'm saying? You can see them with the little mini vlogs, day in the life, the affirmations, the suits at the brunches. They may be successful, 1,000,000 degrees. I don't know why you need, not to knock education, I don't know why you need all them dang on degrees, you know, all of these, like, I'm back in school, I'm this, I'm that. And I've told women, I said, okay, I'm taking the condo, I'm taking the girls' trips, I'm taking the cars, I'm taking the purses, I'm taking the red bottoms, I'm taking all of this stuff. Who are you as a woman?
Boom. Right. Who are you as a woman? Because guess
So they're
what?
empty, right? They look like a woman. They look like they're whole because they have it going on. But that's why you have all these women, and that are they're insecure. They're empty. They don't even know who they are. So it's like, I need this attention. I need this. They want a fan club, right? Every woman, I want a fan club. I want you guys to, I want to be walking down the street and you're throwing petals at me, or like it's Palm Sunday. You guys are oh, hail the queen. Oh, hail this.
Right.
She doesn't even know who she is.
Right. And what you're saying is very profound. Some of that comes from them being skewered as a child. Some of it is vicarious trauma. Some of these women do have undiagnosed narcissistic personality disorder. And like you were saying, they really feel empty inside. But the love and the adulation is used to more or less assuage a very fragile ego. It's something called, in the clinical, a narcissistic supply. So you have to supply them with love and adulation to make them feel good about themselves. You got some therapists, Ms. Woodley, that are narcissists behind the scene. They love the adulation of their clients, and they got into the profession to feel good for their clients, to pump them up. Look at me, look at me. But many times it came from trauma when they were a child. Some of them get into Greek organizations. No disrespect to the Greek organization, but they get into Greek organizations also for validation. They get into many things for validation because they feel empty on the inside. They really don't love themselves. They project a lion, but what they really are on the inside is a kitten. And so what they do, they get with weak, goofy men to make them feel good. They won't get with a masculine, true man that loves himself. They'll get with a man that's less than to make them feel good. But when a man is at their level or supersedes their level, then they have what's called, a term I created called a schema affliction. Schema is a fixation in their mind. Affliction is tied to pain or fear. And so many women are traversing through schema afflictions, and many women, Ms. Woodley, have not allowed themselves to be vulnerable to a man, to be loved by a man, because many have been broken listening to toxic, ignorant women, and many have been broken due to the pain that her mother went through. But many of those women, Ms. Woodley, went with men that were dusty. They had a chance to get a good man, but they said he was boring. He didn't make enough money. He was a lame. But now that they are old, like Barry Hammond said, best years equal up to 45. They want to meet a good man to settle down. They might even be a Christian, call themselves celibate. And what men are saying, they had all the fun now, men have been ran through. Now all of a sudden I want a good man. And men are saying, oh, hell no, I'm not selling for that. You're not giving me anything but a shell. And so that's why women are getting mad at men. They get mad because men are waking up. Men don't know what their worth is. And shout out to my man, the Ingram Experience. He talked about something called relationship capitalism. And you're a Capricorn, you know about money and fiscal responsibility. So what men are saying, before I invest my money in subpar, I'm going to get the best bang for my buck. Pun intended, no pun intended. Men are saying they're going to get the best bang for their buck. And I don't blame them, because if I was a single man back in the game again, I would not deal with most modern women. I just wouldn't, because I don't have time to teach you and train you how to be a woman. I want a woman that's wife ready. She knows what it means to assuage and acquiesce to the masculinity of a man. But I'm going to ask you a question, another question. You're doing an awesome job.
Okay.
You're a wise woman. You went to college. I don't know what you studied, but would you date a man that made 40? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Would you date a man? Because y'all Capricorns love money. Would you date a man? Would you date a man that made $45,000 a year? I want you to be honest.
So I've had this discussion with somebody. I said I would. They said I wouldn't. Right?
Okay.
Okay, and they didn't say that I wouldn't based on what you're probably thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, not what you're thinking, but what most people would think, right? They said that I wouldn't because of what I came from and that I wasn't accustomed. But here's the thing, is that when I got married, he wasn't making $40,000 a year. He wasn't making that. I've seen what happens when two people are aligned and you bring something to pass. You know what I'm saying? I've seen what it's like to build. It's crazy. I'm a builder, right? I'm one of those people that likes to meet people kind of like where they're at in the trenches, not when you've arrived. And if you're like, you know what, I have a dream or I have a vision. Yes, I may be a garbage man right now or be this right now, but I want to do this, this, and this. I just need help. I know what that's like. And I like to see that come to pass, So I said that I would. They said that I wouldn't, They were like, Avery, no, you wouldn't. And it wasn't because I'm like, oh, buy me this, buy me that. Like, I haven't bought a designer purse in years. I just got to, I like nice stuff, right? I like nice stuff. I like to be able to do nice things. But, going through some of the stuff that I went through, my lease on life and what is important and what's priceless is, is way more important. And I also know that everything that glitters is not gold. And like I said, my father was a fireman. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, he worked his way up, you know what I'm saying? And he had drive. Now, what I would not do is I would not date a man or be with a man that made $45,000 and didn't have any drive.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And didn't want and who was comfortable just kind of being like as is. Like, I feel like a lot of people have greatness inside of them. And if it's something that he wanted to do, like I was watching, I showed a clip before and a lady was like, so what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I bartend here, but I'm working on the side. But she was like, oh, so you working on a little business. You never know. He may turn around, you know what I'm saying, and have a Fortune 500 company one day. So I think you have to meet people. You got to meet everybody where they're at. But no, I would not date a $45,000 man who was just like, oh, I'm just good with this, right? Because there are certain things that I want to be able to travel with my man, not with my girls. Like, yeah, I want to take a girls trip maybe once every blue moon, but I want to be able to travel and see the world with my man. I want us to be able to do different things and have access to different things. So, which costs, we live in a world, heck, the world's expensive, right? It costs money.
Right.
But, yeah. So like, no, it's hardworking. You know what I'm saying? Hardworking. I know some of my friends have the best men. They have factory jobs. Maybe they work hard. They've gotten, they get bonuses. They become supervisors or whatever. They do all types of stuff. So I think there's a little bit more to it than just money, because I also wouldn't be with a man that makes $450,000 and his character is flawed. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I understand. I just think women by nature, even good women, I just think it's in their nature to want more. Women are nesters. Yeah. It's almost a default mechanism. They want somebody, they want more. But see, Mr. Woodley, what a lot of men are saying is that you got some women that got 5 or 6 kids by different men. And what that man is saying is that you want me to be, you can't be content with me making 45. And I agree with you, by the way. But you got all these kids by different men. And what that man is saying, that he's not getting anything in return. That man is saying he's actually doing her a favor. What's your take on that?
No, I believe that as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm a woman that has kids. Like, I believe that as well. I honestly think that it depends on the woman, right? If she's looking at you as a meal ticket for herself and her children, right? And she's looking past a good man because he can't afford to take care of her and all of her kids, that's not his responsibility.
Right.
At that level. You know what I'm saying? So if you're looking at him strictly as the leech, as the vampire, what can you do for me and mine? That's why those women are like, oh, I need a man that makes X amount of dollars, right? Because, you know, he has to, you're looking for him to afford all of this stuff, right? Or all of these responsibilities or whatever. And so you're overlooking good men, you know what I'm saying? And you think you can just go just for anything based on, like, it's like a woman's doing her budget. And it's like, okay, well, I got this. They need this. They need this. Okay, so I'm going to go, that's what I need. And that's what I deserve. And I'm going to go find a man that does that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, like you said, they're going from the carnal, right? From the flesh. What can you do for me? Not what can I do for you, but what can you do for me and mine? And if you cannot take care of us, if you cannot, afford the lifestyle, and it's like, well, what were you doing before him?
Right.
There's another question. You know what I'm saying? Like, what were you doing before him? Like, I have the father's active, right? Active in every way as providers, as supporters, as lovers, as fathers, as role models, very, very active, right? Like I don't, have never had to go out and look for a man to take care of my children. You know what I'm saying? At all. If anything, if they're a great added voice and role model, like in their life, and it's like extra support, or whatever, as far as like that. And just not me having to bear the brunt of like, I'm the woman, like the woman's voice or whatever. Like I told you, like I am one of those people that feels that like fathers have to be in the lives. Men need to be around. You need that balance. They don't need to just be around women, even if it's a little girl. Girls don't need to be just around their mothers. You know what I'm saying? But yes, for women who are going out doing that, I mean, I agree. Like I agree. A lot of women are shopping for a supplier.
No, I agree. Many are shopping for a supplier, and many men are getting hip to the game. Luke Hayes asked the question. She said, do you want to be remarried in the future? Would she be okay with a prenup if the new husband wants to seal the deal? What's your take on that, dear?
Oh, yeah. I believe in love. I believe in marriage. I actually probably believe in it more now more than I ever have, right? Because I don't know if I even really understood all of it before, right? Like I understand the depths of it more and what it means to be joined together. Absolutely, like 100% would get remarried, 100% like believe in all of it. And a prenup, yeah, it just depends. Like I'm actually not against prenups at all. Like I'm not against them at all. I do feel that people should be able to protect whatever they want to protect. Or I know people that do prenups for different reasons, right? I'm definitely not against it. And it's something that I would like cross that bridge, when I came to it. But I'm not like, oh, how dare you? You asked me to sign a prenup. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about that. And also, like, here's the thing. I've seen prenups work. What some people don't realize, I've seen them work in the other person's favor for some people, because it's like, it's like, I didn't have her sign this, or I know women have had men sign them to be a stickler or whatever. Say they divorced and it ended on a good note. And they're like, you know what? I know we had this paperwork, but here I'm looking out because, if it wasn't for you, I wasn't able to do this, and this. So yeah, I'm not against it. I'm not against either one of them.
Right. Now you said you would get one under. You said it depends on the condition. Many men that are financially astute, and I know you're very sharp when it comes down to business and money. Many men are saying, listen, because the laws are not just to men, Ms. Woodley. Many men are saying, I'm just going to get a prenup just because. If she can't sign that prenup, she can't be my woman. And, the relationship might be fire, but men are saying, even though I believe in the nebulous concept of love, I believe in the pragmatism of a prenup. What would you say to that? Because watch this. Let's flip it. Say you're making $250,000 a year. Say your man is making 70. I don't. Could you date a man that make less than you? Say you make 250, he makes 70. Could you?
Absolutely.
But could you honor and respect him as a man?
Yeah.
Could you follow his leadership? Because a lot of women say that they could, but but when in the back of her mind she said, "Look, I make more money. You can't tell me what to do."
But see, those are the ones that think money. But that's not all. That's money is not every. Yes, we do need money. Yes, it does make our life easier. Yes, we do have things to take care of. But money does not replace a man. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't replace a man. If I made $250,000 and my man made 70. He makes 70. It's not really, you know what I'm saying? It's not really, to me, it's not a big deal. He's still a man. He's my man for a reason. I need him. I love him. I respect him. It's not, I don't understand why, well, I do. I see women that do it, and society does all the time. We put too much value on the wrong things, right? So it's like, okay, if it's you, right? Say you made 100,000 and this man made 500,000. Why would I, and that's all I know, right? That's what I know. Why would I respect him and honor him any more than I would you?
Right.
Does that money does not make him more of a man, right? And
it doesn't.
Because you make 100,000, that does not make you any less of a man.
Right.
Money does,
No, I agree with you 1,000,000%. You're right. And what men don't understand, money is not always the great equalizer. Some women will use a man only for the money, but there are many men that don't have money, but they got swag. They're very charismatic, and women fall in love with the masculine side of that man. I'm gonna ask you this question, dear, and then I'm gonna run to the restroom while I play this thing. what does masculine protection look like for Averi Woodley? And if you got married again, in a loaded question, what would Mr. Right look like?
Oh my gosh. You know what? What he would look like is more of the feeling, right?
Okay.
Since I'm more in tune now with myself, it's the feeling.
Okay.
I like to be around a man that I feel safe. Like when you're around the right masculine man, when I'm around the right masculine man, I feel like I'm able to be a woman even more. I can rest in my femininity. You know what I'm saying? Like I can soften my posture. I can lean back. I can lean into him. I don't have to, do it all, figure it all out. And that's just something that, like, as a parent, right? Whether you're married or not, like as a parent, a lot of times we're kind of managing our kids and everything like that. But he brings me ease. You know what I'm saying? I feel safe in his presence, just from his presence, right? Like as soon as he walks in, it's like, I can take a deep breath. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's that feeling. I have felt it. It is amazing. And ever since I have allowed myself to feel it, that's what I'm like, hey, if I got to feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I love. It's, to me, men are problem solvers, right? He can come to me as well, but they're problem solvers. It's like, babe, what do you need? Even if I don't need anything, but it's like, I got you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like I can go up against almost anything with him by my side. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he guards me. He protects me. He loves me. He makes me better. He adds to my life. You know what I'm saying? He brings like all of it. To me, it's an amazing feeling. This is how I would describe it. Like on a cold, I don't know how cold it gets there, but just imagine like if it's super cold, if anybody's been, the bitter cold, Wisconsin, Michigan, whatever, right? And once you get into, enclosed doors and you're around a fire or a blanket and you kind of like curl up and you're just like at ease, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you're just at peace and rested.
Right.
That's what it feels like. It feels like home. That's honestly what it feels like. It feels like home.
Right. James Turner said at the Coach of Clinician, sounds like to me that Averi would be with a man who makes $70,000 only if he's on his way to making and doing more. Is Averi okay with herself being the breadwinner?
You know what? I'm okay with it. Here's the thing. I'm okay with being the breadwinner because if and only if, and it goes both ways, right? I feel like it should go both ways. If he is adding something to where it's like, okay, I can go out here and do this. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you, honestly, do I want to be, and then that's as far as like being the breadwinner, right? And I feel like with men, it's the same thing. Like, men can be successful and can do this if they know, like, hey, she has my back. She's doing this. She can be taking care of home, whatever. Now I can go out here and focus on my work. I can focus on building. I can focus on what I need to do because I know that this other part of my life is taken care of. So I feel like that way. If I had a man that loves me, you know what I'm saying, and all of that kind of stuff or whatever, then that's fine. I actually look, I just want to be a housewife. No, I'm just joking. But no, I would. I definitely would. Breadwinner, there may have been a time where my mom honestly made more than my dad, right? Before he became like a fire chief. And I know teachers don't make a lot, but she had like her master's plus 30. So there was probably a time where, she was, for a teacher, she was making almost six figures. This is years and years ago, right? This was years ago. Like I'm 39. So my mom is 75. She's been retired for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. But like money, I never saw that money issue though. You know what I'm saying? With my parents in the household, they were just hard workers. Mm-hmm. They were hard workers, and they honestly, even though I didn't see that intimacy between them, it was like they put in whatever we got to do for the sake of the household, type of thing.
I forgot the group that make the song called "After the Love Is Gone," and I posed the question, Ms. Woodley, because when a woman can love a man when she does not feel like loving that man, that's the true sign that she loved that man. Love is an emotion, it's a feeling that comes and go, but marriage is about duty, responsibility, and more or less fortifying and protecting the future legacy of their children. But I forgot the name of the group called After the Love Is Gone. I forgot who it was, but you know what I'm talking about. Right. Well, after the love is gone, because so many women just divorce on frivolous things like I don't love him anymore or I'm not happy. What do you do when the love is gone? And before you answer that question, Dale, I want you to let it marinate. Let it marinate in your psyche. Let it marinate in your psyche as I run through the rest of the whole type.
Okay.
The importance of marriage and relationship and legacy. And as a clinical therapist, the last stage in psychosocial development actually is centered around ego integrity versus despair. Ego integrity says more or less that I've done everything I need to do to carry on the legacy for my family and my children. But despair is when you're on your deathbed, when you're more or less gesticulating mentally about the pain and the peril of not living your life at its fullness. And, I decided to do what I'm doing as a clinical therapist to empower men, because I don't feel that men in America, especially men of color, but all men, are getting the proper outcomes that are needed to help them become sustainable. Amira, you talked about the terminology called help me. When a man gets a very feminine woman, she becomes a vibration for that man, an oscillator, to say the least. And when that woman is oscillating her femininity, that man becomes the best version of himself. But the caveat is that most men in America don't get that, because some of our women, not all, are Western women, come into a relationship expecting to be served instead of ready to serve that man. And because of that, there becomes a chasm in the relationship, because both parties are not on the same page. And so, I tell men to go where they're celebrated versus being tolerated. And I think a lot of American men are doing that because most men feel like, in the contextual framework of America, that America is not a viable commodity for most men. So they don't see it as something valuable, in my opinion. The lady, Dr. Helen Smith, wrote a book called Men on Strike. And so the ground is fallow. The ground needs to be broken up. But when you have caustic policies like feminism, they have more or less destroyed the fabric of the minds of so many men. Many men are more or less taking their time before they enter into a relationship, because they know once they enter into that relationship, it can be very deleterious to their soul, mind, body, and spirit. So in theory, is marriage a good potential, good option? Yes, I think marriage is a beautiful idea.
I do too.
But the current climate that we live in, I don't feel like many of our women are wife ready to more or less meet the needs of their husbands. I think, American men are excellent. I came back from Brazil doing some anthropological work and touring. And in other countries, the women are conditioned to serve their men, and they respect their men. And, I love the analogy that you gave about him being the pilot and she being the flight attendant. And, the co-pilot concept is not bad either. But the problem with most Americans, they tend to do things based on the egalitarian construct, which is a westernized thought. And because of that egalitarian construct, many men are jousting in relationship with their women. And so in olden times, under patriarchal cultures, there was no such thing as jousting. When women came into men's spaces, they remained silent and they listened and respected those men. But so many of our women say they want chivalry, but patriarchy is a byproduct of chivalry. Men determine the
Can you
essence
repeat that
of
one more
chivalry.
time, Mr.
I said, yes, patriarchy is a byproduct of chivalry. And so men determine what they determine to be a prize. I hear some of the women say, oh, I'm the prize. But no, you're not the prize. You're the prize if he deemed you to be the prize. Amir, I created a term called the prize catcher. And the prize catcher more or less says that, similar to in the gospel, where the bride prepared herself for the bridegroom. So the man is the prize catcher. If he sees an inherent worth of value in that woman, he will catch her and make her his prize. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
Oh, goodness.
But the problem there with so many women that come into relationships, they come in thinking that they're the prize and that they're doing the man a favor, which in essence, in cultures from the past, women knew that they had to serve a man in order to get the ring. The ring was synonymous that she was wife ready and she was willing to serve her man. But unfortunately, in the current confines of America, we don't have those safeguards in place. America is more of a gynocracy or a matriarchy. And because of that, many men have been conditioned to become subjects of their women instead of demanding power, which has been a detriment to their minds, in my opinion.
Whew. Wow, you got the fire. Like,
wait, I need like an amen. I mean, like soundtrack, something. I need something. JR, we don't have an applause. We have to get something here because that is.
Thank you, ladies.
But I was expecting nothing less because every time you come on, you always come. Look, my hair is already messed up. Even my hair got messed up. Wow. Okay.
Right. Because, men want to be inspired, and I don't live by the zodiac, but I'm a Leo, by the way. So, my motto is fire for your mind. And so men want to be inspired. I tell women when they give men feminine energy is so contagious. It can take a man to his highest height when she's genuinely feminine. The problem is that we have something, Amira and Miss Barrett, called the chameleon effect. Many women come into these spaces, they're not genuine, they're chameleons. And so they have never seen masculinity like yourself. You were more or less trained in a patriarchal culture where the women respected their men. And sadly, in many of those patriarchal cultures, and I'm not advocating violence, there's a penalty for being out of line. So many women get offended by the word submission and obey, but that was a mandate of the gospel. The book of Titus said, wives, obey your husbands. That's the gospel. But some women say that they are Christians, but I'm like, how can you be a Christian when the gospel is very clear about where it says obey? Obedience does not mean that a man abuse power. It does not mean that. I'm not talking about men that abuse power or use their wives as, like, be quiet, shut up. That's wrong. That's an abuse of power. But I'm talking about she's willing to work with her man to help build not only a legacy, but she's willing to work with her man to help him become the best version of himself. In the African-American community, Teddy Pendergrass said that you inspire me. And so when men are inspired, they're at their best. But when that man is around a feminine woman, it does something to his psyche, but also to his body, which in essence make him productive. And so I tell women, Amira and Miss Barrett, that women have more power than they really know if they're really genuine. Delilah knew about it. Delilah got the strongest man to tell him his secrets because she used her feminine graces. Even though she was deceptive, she was able to use her feminine demure and charm to get the secrets of the strongest man in the world at that time. So women have the power, but you must be genuine in your approach because men become broken when they're impacted by a woman. The imprint of a man is a woman, but it happens to him mentally. A man is most vulnerable when he's been imprinted by a woman that he thought was genuine, where a woman is more vulnerable when she's pregnant. When she's been impregnated by a man, she's very vulnerable. Well, men are vulnerable mentally. And so once those men realize that what they had in their head is not the truth, they go through what's called a catharsis, or what we call red pill rage. And then it starts the 5 stages of grief. And many times men vacillate between denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So they go to this catharsis over and over again, and many don't get the help that they need, which in essence turns to an implosion, which becomes an explosion. And that's why you have so many men that are angry, using very terse language in these spaces because they're angry. And so some say, well, just get over and heal. Well, you can't heal when you've been told a lie for so many years. Men are conditioned to think women are sugar and spice and everything nice. But when they come to that great conniption, it does something very damaging to their mind. And so it's almost like the Madonna whore complex. Men see women as beautiful and great, but men are beginning to see that women are just human. They're just human. Nothing more.
Yeah, the delusion is going away.
I think you're muted. Let me see. I can't hear you.
I'm muted. I apologize.
Okay.
I was in a slow class. I apologize. Go ahead. But what did you think about that whole expose about one, chameleons? We talked about the feminine and the masculine, and what did you think about that? First question. But the second question, Avery, you appear to be about 5'5" to 5'7". Am I right?
Very close. I am 5'7" and like a little bit.
Okay. I'm good at spatial reason. I can look at you. I said she's about 5'7". Now you're 5'7", and I'm putting you on the spot.
How much do I weigh?
Oh no, you're very fit, but I can tell you're very fit and lean. But would you date a shorter man or a man your height?
I have, you know what? I have before.
Yeah, I'm joking with you because Chantel always say, that's something she struggled with. Shout out to Chantel Simone.
You know what? It's hard. You know what? It's hard. When I was younger, I used to be like, oh, well, somebody they have to be taller than me. But you know what? You click with who you click with, right?
Right.
So, but yeah.
Okay. So what did you gather from what Amira and Miss Barrett and I were talking about? How would you like to add some insight to that?
Oh no, like I agree. I feel like some of the stuff we touched on when you talked about like that masculine and the feminine, and You know, what happens to a man operating at his highest self when he's with, you know, when that feminine is paired with him, and vice versa. Also about, you know, what women can, you know, what women can give to men. And I heard you talk about like the feminine and how we can use it for, you know, we can use it for manipulation, we use it for good. No, you know what, I am in agreement with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, right. It's just funny that, and when I say it's funny, it's just, you know, all of these things, like I told you, I had to do that, all that unbecoming, right? Me listening to that conversation now and the words that come out of my mouth and the conversation I'm having with you years ago, I'd be like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it never would have happened. But it didn't have anything to do with the men, with my respect for men. It had everything to do with me understanding and knowing what a woman is, what our role is, what makes us powerful, what makes us strong. Because society and the people around me, what they told me was a strong woman is not what a strong woman is. It's what a strong man is. Like, honestly, like if I tried to like water it down, you know, it's what it's like as a man. So that, you know, like all of that, like I didn't understand that. But no, like I agree when you were talking, like everything that you just said, excuse me, about the feminine and masculine pairing and all of that, like I absolutely like agree with. She was like, oh my gosh, my hair is messed up already, I can't take it. Like I'm sitting there like he's spinning fire. I was over here putting my lip gloss on like
you are so funny, man. You are very funny. And I think that's what so many women crave for. I think they crave for raw masculinity, you know. Raw masculinity is just like raw sugar. It's sweet.
But I feel like, you know what, if we crave that, then why is it wrong for, and this is a rhetorical question, we already know this, but like, then why is it wrong for men to crave raw femininity?
Right. Well, you know, I think many want a masculine man that's shaped under her own ideology of what a masculine man is, more or less dealing with masculinity for the sake of what masculinity really is. And, you know, when I was in Brazil, you know, men in those countries, they don't play, and I don't advocate violence, but in many foreign countries, the men can be and are violent to their women. And once again, I don't advocate it. But, you know, so many men tolerate disrespect here in America. And part of it is the laws. The laws don't formally or freely advocate for men, which in essence calls men to defer power in relationships. But I'm fully aware and succinctly say that when men learn how to broker power, when they know what their worth is and what they can get in the beauty of a righteous woman, then they will no longer tolerate mediocrity. Because watch this, you only live one life. At some point, you will die. My sister passed away about 2 months ago. Sadly, she had ovarian cancer. And I still struggle periodically time to time because my sister should have been here.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I realize, you know, Averi, it's called the frailty of life or the brevity of life. Life is fleeting. And so many women come to a great conniption when they're on their deathbed that the degrees won't matter. You know, the money won't matter. The cars won't matter. My sister had a house that was over almost $500,000. She was driving a 2020 Range Rover, nice car. I mean, nice. But when she was on her deathbed suffering with cancer, it really didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
Yes, ma'am. And the only thing that really matters, Miss Woodley, is family. What does family mean to Averi Woodley? What does family mean to Averi Woodley? And I think I asked you earlier, did you ever rebel from the masculine authority of your father and also the men in your family?
Okay, so I'll start backwards first. So I never really rebelled from my father and from who he was, you know, as the masculine, you know, the first, and he's the alpha male. Like my dad is, you know, that Leo, he is an alpha male. But I didn't rebel from him in any more than probably just like normal little teenager stuff. I was actually scared of my father.
Oh, wow.
You know, not like I'm afraid of, not like that, but the type of man that he was and that he is, he didn't have to get loud. He didn't have to like rule with the iron fist. He was very quiet when he spoke though. And still to this day, when he speaks on something, it's like, uh-oh. You know what I'm saying? To her, my mom, she was more like the mom, like like say for example, when I started driving, right? Who's in the car? How many people? Don't have the radio up loud. Call me when you get here. Do this, do this, do this. My dad used to say, and he'd be like, don't embarrass me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you represent me.
You represent
when you're
me.
out.
Right.
Don't embarrass me. He used to say, don't act like you have bones for brains, right? And so I would be scared of, like, if my dad was at home, like, oh my God, let me get back before curfew. I was scared to death because I didn't want him to be disappointed in me. You know, I respected him so much. I never wanted to disappoint him, you know, and so I was scared, you know, it was that kind of stuff. Like, it was like a quiet, like, leadership. He didn't raise his voice a lot. He didn't yell a lot. It was just, he was the man. Like, and the people tell me now, and they see my dad, like they see my dad at like sporting events for their kids. They're like, when your dad walks in, he will make somebody feel like a guest in their own home. He just has that air and that presence to him, right? So I never rebelled against that. I think I loved that. You know, like I love that and I respect that and I actually admire that. And when I see other men that have it, I'm like, yes, because it doesn't take all that. Just like I think it's beautiful when a woman can do the same thing without walking in like, like all that, like, you know, like, I'm like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing too much. You don't have to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Just be. If you could just be, that's what will, you know, your natural light, like that genuine. You talked about being genuine, the genuine feminine. It is like, it's like a moth to a flame, you know? So yeah, I never rebelled. Yeah, I never rebelled against that at all. And, you know, his order, his direction, if he said something, that was it. You know, if I tried to reason, and that's what I'm saying, like the teenager in me, well, Daddy, he'd be like, what did I say? Because it wasn't often that he said like, what, and he'd be like, what did I say? And he would make me repeat, this is what you said. You know what I'm saying? And he'd be like, do you understand what I am saying? And I'm saying this, he would kind of reason us through. He was like, now I'm telling you no, not to hurt you, not to this, not to that, but because I'm your father, I'm trying to protect you. So you may not like what I have to say right now. You may not like telling me, you know, me telling you no about X, Y, and Z, or if I don't want you driving the car there or whatever, but I'm telling you because I know what's best for you. And it's funny because even as a grown adult woman, when I have had a relationship with, you know, a man like that, right? That masculine man. And when you said the masculine man, they're not going to take a lot, right? There are certain things that it's like, hey, like, no, you're not about to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? No, you know, you can't film a workout video like that. No, you can't do this. Like, now I understand who you are. And I had to really deal with that, right? I understand who you are. And I know who you are and I know how you are around me. And I know you are just who you are, but I'm telling you how other people are going to perceive you. And like really like sitting me down and like talk, you know, like saying like, hey, this isn't about an insecurity. This isn't like how you said women like, oh, you're insecure. This isn't about this. But as the man in your life, it is my job to also warn you like, hey, this is how men are going to look at you. This is how women are going to do this. This is how this, you know, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to family, I mean, who wants to die alone? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've even had health stuff over the years that it kind of puts, you know, like I told you, there were times before, like I hadn't bought a designer bag in years, right? And there's things that happen that you're like, you realize how important the relationships are. You realize how important forgiving is. You realize how important it is to let go. You also realize how important it is to grow and to work on yourself, right? Like I didn't want to leave here with who I was, right? Honestly, today, you know, if I was to leave here tomorrow, there are certain, I know I've broken generational curses. I know that I have evolved as a woman. I know that I have imparted certain things on my children. I know that even though my daughter's 7, she has seen the type of woman that I am right now at this stage. My sons have seen me correct myself. You know what I'm saying? They've seen me love their fathers, respect their fathers, support them. So it's just certain things like that's what's important. You know what I'm saying? That's what's important because nothing else, like you said, like your sister, you know what I'm saying? And bless her soul. And I'm sorry that, you know, that you are going through that. But like you said, she had the house, she had the car and everything like that. But my dad told me, he said, you can't be buried with that stuff.
Right.
He has always told me, like when me and my sister used to get into it and we used to like go at it, I only had one sister. He was like, eventually one day you're going to need each other. You cannot be buried with that stuff. You guys are going to need each other and need the relationship. And then we have stuff like the Kobe Bryant thing, right? So we have people that certain people see as almost untouchable, and you see things like that happen. And to me, if it doesn't shock you and rock you to your core, you know, and make you want to, you know, heal that bond or forgive that person or move on or stop seeking degrees and cars and money. And not saying that you want to be broken in love, you know what I'm saying? But to prioritize things differently. Because to me, when you have family, one thing I'm realizing now, when you have family by you, when you have love and support, you can almost do anything.
Very true. Very true. I want to ask you this question, Ms. Woodley.
Okay.
If your man is going to be your husband, he say, you know what, baby, you know what? I want you to come off social media. I don't want you on social media anymore. I think Ace asked the question, a woman cleaning her social media, especially if she want a wife. And if your man said, listen, I need you to come off social media, especially if you don't have a business, are you willing to do it?
You said if we're going to have a business or if we don't
if you don't, I understand more if you have a business.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Just say if you're on social media just for the sake of being on social media, and your man say, listen, if you're going to be with me, you got to cut that social media off.
I'm getting off.
You will get off.
I'm getting off.
Okay, cool. Tell me why. Tell me why you would get off, because I agree with you. But why would you get off?
I mean, it's social media. It's like not the, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I wasn't doing anything on there, then like, why do I need to be on there? If I have him, if I have my children, if I have my friends, like, why do I need to be on there? You know what I'm saying? Like, the more I've been on social media, especially since COVID, to like reach people and coach people and just do different stuff, the more I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it has its good things, but it's draining. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it takes a piece of you. It's every time you're on social media, it takes a piece of you. If he wants me to be off social media, if I don't have a business, be off social media. Be more present. Be more present with him. Be more present with myself. I don't have to worry about capturing a moment. I don't need to keep up with anybody. You know what I'm saying? If it's people that I need to keep up with or whatever, they should have my email. They can contact me. I don't need to see the latest trends. I don't need to see what celebrity couple who got a baby with who broke up for the 50th time. I don't need to see that. I actually know a lot of people who are not on social media. And to me now, it's almost freedom. You know what I'm saying? It's almost freeing if you don't have to be. I would love to be able to get to, like, I like this kind of stuff, right? Like, I like the like person to person, the conversation, the one-on-one, the small groups, the intimacy of that. I think there's nothing more powerful than the human connection, which I think is why I would so readily get off. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like social media is taking place of, we should be more connected than ever, but to me, where a lot of us are more disconnected than ever, right?
Right.
So get off social media. Like, my man, if this is what that's what you want from me, that's all you want. And now imagine me getting off social media and everything, you know, and how that's going to benefit my whole relationship, right? And benefit our interaction, and how it's going to add to our relationship. So I'm getting off.
Excellent, excellent. Luke Hayes say, will she have an issue with marrying a single dad? So say you met a guy, he had say 2 or 3 kids, or maybe even 4. And is she prepared to have children with a new husband? So what say you?
Oh yeah, I'm not against that. Like, I'm not against that. If it is, you understand, because I love, you know what I'm saying? And I think because I love it more than ever is like, you know, it's like, I feel like I was a good wife, right? I feel like I was a good wife, but I'm like, knowing what I know now, like, I honestly, not to toot my own horn, like, I do have, you know, I'm still working on stuff every day, but once you start holding yourself accountable, you almost can't stop, right?
Right.
And you literally can't stop. So it's like every day, as long as I have breath in my body, I'm becoming. So if I met a man, you know, and because the way I do believe in love, and I do believe in, you know, like the whole union between a husband and wife, and that partnership and that commitment and that union and all of that. If I'm marrying a man, if he has kids, I'm marrying his kids. It's a package deal.
Right. Fair enough.
I have no problem. Like, I got more love to give. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it'll keep my kids from arguing sometimes. The more the merrier.
Right. You know, some men, Avery, and you're doing an awesome job, but some men have an issue with the word partner. I think a lot of women use the word partner, and it's very innocuous. They don't mean anything by it. It's just a phraseology or what I call a neologism. But I have an issue with the word partner because I think when people use the word partner, it's really a liberal construct. I like the word wife because wife symbolizes duty.
Right.
Many women say partner, but partner really means, Avery, egalitarian. When you think partner, you think about business partners, or you think about law, like you and I got a business. We're partners of this business. But as my woman, you're not my partner. You're my wife.
Yeah.
I'm the head of this ship. I'm going to run this ship. And either you're going to follow me or you can jump off. Now, I do believe that men can and will and should delegate certain responsibilities to the woman if she's better. Say if you're better at the finances, and I know you are because you're Capricorn. I'm gonna say, you know what, baby, I'm gonna let you handle this. You go flow with it. But it's under my guidance and it's under my masculine umbrella. I don't care if you do certain things or run certain things or more or less. But like Shaq made the goofy comment that a man should let his woman lead. And I said, no, sir, you should never let your woman lead. It's only one king and there's a queen, and the queen looks up and follows the admonition and the instructions of her man. And so I'm not going to let you lead anything. I'm going to be leading you. And if I deem it necessary for you to more or less formulate or more or less take care of certain auxiliaries in the family, I'm going to let you do it. I said, baby, you got this. You're good at this. I'm going to give it to you because you're better at it than me. But so many women use that word partner, and they've been so indoctrinated by these liberal ideologies that they don't understand that even though they're not doing it intentionally, it's an unconscious pathology that's making them a saboteur of their own ignorance. When I say the word partner, what is your take on that? Because many men don't like that word partner. I don't like the word partner because if you believe in the Edias of theology, the woman was made for the man and God gave man dominion. And you're not my partner, you're my wife. But once again, some women, they use it loosely and they mean nothing by it. But so what's your take on that?
So when I use the term, so I've used the term partner before, not necessarily for my, like, you know, just like in talking. Now, when I think of it though, I don't think of a partner as a wife. I think of a partner as, because I know some people don't get married, right? So they'll say my partner or whatever, right? And then we hear it more now also in same-sex marriages, you know, well, same-sex relationships, they'll say my partner. But as far as wife and partners, you're absolutely right. Business partner, we're equals, we're this, we're that. No, there is power in being a helpmate, right? There is power in, like for myself, right? I am a whole woman, right? I'm whole. I consider myself whole, which means that I'm just healthy. I'm not looking for just anybody to fill any type of void. But there is a void in me that it can't be filled by me getting a pet. It can't be filled by me taking a girls trip. It cannot be filled. It's created because God was like, I created you to be a wife. You know what I'm saying? I created you for companionship. I created you to be a helpmate. That is there for your husband. Like, that's why you have that. That is the missing piece. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the missing link for you, is that is for a husband and for the man that is in your life, the man that, you know, whoever, you know. So when it comes to the whole partner thing, I think women, the majority of women who aren't using it loosely, who are really using it with an agenda, right? Who don't want to say wife or don't want to say this, those are the ones who also don't want to submit to the idea of marriage. They don't want to submit to the idea that a king is supposed to lead and a queen is supposed to come to the back, because they feel like, here's the king. Being a queen doesn't mean that you don't have value and that you don't have this. They also view submission as meaning that you are just like a woman is less than and she doesn't matter. It's their views on everything. So they want to say, oh, I'm a partner because I'm equal and I'm this and I'm that. And it's not like, I don't want to lead. I feel like I got to lead these kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to lead. I want to be your supporting actress. You know what I'm saying? I want to be like your best supporting actress. I feel like when I'm in my space as a woman, as a queen, and a man is leading, then there's things that sometimes I may be able to see that he can't see. But if we're both right here, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're seeing, like, who can see it? I might be able to see something coming or see people around, you know, see something that he cannot see because I'm in my correct position and in, you know, my role. I don't want to be a king. I don't want to lead. I don't want to be a partner. I kind of want to act like a damsel in distress sometimes, and not operating in what people would call the wounded feminine, but I kind of want to, you know, I want to be a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to be on, you know, you see all these women that are like the ones that are like partners, and it's like, I'm Superwoman and I'm Wonder Woman. I don't want to be no superhero. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to be able to take my cape off. So
yes, ma'am. Right. Because a lot of those women are actually wearing masks. You know, in the Johari window in the clinical world, we call it the private self, the public self, the known self, and the unknown self. And many are wearing masks. You know, you are such a breath of fresh air, very erudite in your wisdom, and very punctual and very, how can I say, very cerebral. And I can tell that you are uncoming to become the better woman. The thing I love about you is that you're very genuine. You said, I'm still growing. And I like that. There are many women that have come into these spaces. TJ Randolph and other women, they're trying to learn. They're trying to uncover so that they can recover. They understand that they have very negative machinations that can more or less impede that more perfect union. But they're willing to look within themselves. Men and women have dark sides. We all can have very negative things about ourselves, Ms. Woodley, that can cause us to be a saboteur to our future, and also the women in their lives. And some of the men are still reveling from the pain and the hurt from the past. But you know, you and I have been talking about 3 hours. It don't feel like I could probably talk to you for another 8.
I know it'd be better if this silly thing wasn't freezing. So we're gonna have to do this again because I don't know what's up. But
yeah, we're gonna do it again. And our next show will be what my father forgot to tell me. We're gonna do it. I might bring up, yeah. Come on. Hold on, Miss Willie. You know me. Hold on, it's that Leo swag. Hold tight. I'm about to hit it with
fire for your mind. The kosher tradition.
Oh yeah, I got that fire for your mind. I'm gonna always bring it because that's what we Leos do. But you know, you have so much clarity and insight. You have so much wisdom, and you know, you look very young for your age. I know the men are asking, what do you do to keep yourself looking young? I'm sure some of it is genetics, and I know you said your background is very diverse. And don't tell me you're a Cherokee. I know you probably got some white, Blackfoot. You know, you probably got some Waxhaw. Some Mohawk, you might some Apache.
It's that African blood. What do I do to look? I don't know. You know, I'm 39. No, you know,
don't look it. You don't look.
I'm 39. I'll be 40 in December. We talked about me being a Capricorn. You know, growing up, my mom was like, if you treat people right. I honestly, you know what? I honestly feel like I've done, like I said, I can't stop saying that I've done a lot of work, and I will continue to do a lot of work on myself. I feel like it has helped my looks. I know you can see people that are young and they got a hardened heart or whatever. I try to treat people right, and obviously, yes, so for sure, right? I exercise, right? I don't exercise every day. I don't spend 2 or 3 hours in the gym. I don't eat just lettuce. I am all about, I'm the type of trainer, whatever. It's a lifestyle, right? I don't believe in depriving yourself and doing anything that you can't do forever. So I do take care of myself. But I still enjoy life, right? So if I want to eat a cheeseburger, I'm gonna eat a cheeseburger, or whatever, right? But I do take care of myself as far as exercise and drink water and all of that. But also, like, I try to treat people right. And this is funny. My dad and mom told me, they were like, you never want to be a woman that's in the streets because you're gonna start looking old.
Right.
You know, like that old worn, like mommy's like, look at them looking old and worn, right? And I do believe, I believe that you can cover it up with makeup, whatever, but they just have that hard look to them. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right. They look like a Jesus sandal,
that hard look, right? My dad was like, you never want to become the woman that's a regular in the club, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and that's constantly on the scene. And so I stay away from a lot of that stuff. Like, I feel like that honestly, like, kind of adds to it. I feel like because I am in a good place, mentally and emotionally and everything, I feel, of course I get tired, right? Like I said a couple of weeks ago, like I had a panic attack, hadn't had one in years, right? So like, I'm open about all that kind of stuff, but I try to, be intentional with like sitting with myself. I try to be intentional with, the whole meditation and just with all of that kind of stuff. I was really intentional after my divorce, like working on myself, working on forgiveness, working on healing and everything like that. Cause I feel like that kind of stuff ages you. It literally ages you. Right. I see so many bitter, old looking, hard looking Black women. Like sadly. looking old and we'll be the same, but they look old. I'm like, oh baby, you bitter, you're you know what I'm saying? You're tired, you're mean. That it ages you and it can take a toll on your health. But yeah, I try to drink water, I try to treat people right. And I mean, exercise, all that kind of stuff.
Right. You're probably drinking the alkaline water.
I do drink alcohol. Oh my gosh, that's actually what's been in my glass the whole time is alcohol, is alkaline water. And also, you know what? I see a lot of Black women who let themselves go after they have kids, right?
Yes, right.
I was adamant on not doing that. I was adamant on not doing that. People say Black don't crack, it cracks. Like I had somebody say, they were like, no, it cracks. I've seen it crack on people before. But yeah, just all that peace, you know what I'm saying? Like peace, love, giving love. I feel like I look younger the more like I've connected with myself, some of that femininity. I can't stop talking about it because I can't believe I was disconnected from it for like 30 years, right? And I had no idea what it was. And I feel like it's kind of like added a glow to me. It's making me look a little bit more youthful.
Yeah, it does. And it will. I'm going to drop the link for about 5 to 10 minutes. Avery, how much time you got? I know you got to get your kids ready for school.
What kids? No, I'm just kidding. No, they're and that's what their dad was texting me saying he couldn't make his flight, but I have the sitter here, so they're actually like all.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you Miss Vanderbilt. I'm gonna call you Miss Vanderbilt. So I'm gonna drop the link, Avery. I'm gonna let the men come up and ask you a couple of questions. But before we started, Avery, hold tight.
Okay.
Before we started, if I can find it. Oh.
This is the part of the show where we find solutions.
All right, Avery, we're going to find solutions before we end this stream.
Okay.
And you have done an awesome job, man. Awesome job, dropping fire for the audience. I feel like I put you through the ring of fire.
Oh, you're amazing. I love it. You're amazing.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate it. So hold tight. Let me see. So call in, guys. We're going to let you guys call in and ask Ms. Woodley questions. I need you guys to cam up. I need you guys to be respectful because this young lady has been very respectful. She's been a breath of fresh air. Shout out to her. Shout out to Chantel Simone. Shout out to Shalakimia Moffitt. Shout out to Luke Casely. Shout out to all the good sisters, Sweet Lulu Bean, and also Miss Parker, back to basics. Haven't seen her in a while, but the link has been dropped, guys. If you guys want to ask Ms. Woodley a couple of questions, we're going to have a cogent and very civil conversation for the next 15 to 30 minutes. But what are the solutions moving forward, Ms. Woodley? How can we form a more perfect union where many say that the forest needs to be burnt down and you got to plant the seeds again?
Well, first, I actually had my little list. I think I've said this a couple of times throughout the live there's a lot of things, right? But understanding, accepting the fact that the Black man is not our enemy, right? And that as Black women, we need the Black man and that he makes us better and we make them better, that we were created to work together. We were created to be on the same team. We were not created to be independent of each other, interdependent. And that's where we thrive. And I don't, in the family unit, right, is what's under attack. I feel like the family unit, not just the personal relationship between Black men and Black women, but Black women, you have to understand, Black men are not your enemy. They aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they aren't our enemy. They are not our enemy. We are stronger together. We are stronger with them. Once they can understand that the Black man is not our enemy and that men are not our enemy, is when they can see the value, right? Then we can start to realize the value that you guys have and that we need you and that we should be able to, that we can trust you and that we love you and that you guys are worthy. A lot of Black women need to heal. A lot of healing needs to take place. A lot of healing needs to take place because not every Black woman has had a bad encounter with a Black man, but because their mothers or their grandmothers or their aunts or their sisters did, it has put a bad taste in their mouth. And now they're carrying their hurt, right? Like, you have women that I honestly feel like are birthing broken as babies, like young Black girls, they're broken already. Like, it's become almost like a genetic chromosome type of thing.
Right.
So there needs to be a lot of healing going on. We have to stop the tit for tat, right? We have to be able to come to the table and listen and hear. There needs to be, we need to open up. We need to have an open heart and an open mind. But like, none of that, like I said, still none of that can happen until we understand that we are on the same team and that we are meant to be in collaboration and not in competition.
You're right. Yes, that's the best way to form a more perfect union. And I think solutions also, Ms. Woodley, is people need to get therapy.
Oh my God,
yes, they need to get therapy. Many people are walking billboards for dysfunction.
Yes.
And they don't really understand their pathologies because many of those pathologies are unconscious. But many times they've been socialized to mire in dysfunction for so long that they don't realize it. And when they do get a healthy and a coping and a more or less cogent man, they don't know how to respond to that man because they've seen dysfunction so long that dysfunction is normal. I've heard guys say that when they travel abroad and deal with women from other countries, they don't play mind games like, I'm going to wait a day to see if you're going to call, or if you call them, they don't respond back trying to joust for power. That's brokenness, because in healthy relationships, if that man like you and you like him, you're not going to play mind games,
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah. It's like, you know what? I'm going to text you. What's going on? Or whatever. Because I feel like just like women want to feel like, is he interested? Some men need to know that you're interested. Men need to know that, that you want them, that you're interested. And I don't feel like there's anything wrong. To me, if you're a woman, you can say like, you know what? I appreciate the time that we spent together. Thank you for taking me out. I look forward to, whatever, right? I look forward to hanging out again. Your company, you were a breath of fresh air, or whatever it is. Men want to feel that too. They thrive off of a woman like, oh yeah, she wants me, like what is wrong with that?
It's nothing is wrong with it. I think when men and women come together and realize how powerful they can be as a team, is better. And many saw the ravaging effects of that during this last pandemic. Many did suffer in silence. Many understood the power of having a man because, in the pandemic, when you are in that big house by yourself, but you don't have a man to protect you, it's very dangerous. I've always said, even if you have a gun, if you got 5 men coming to your house with guns as well, then what are you going to do?
Absolutely.
You stand a better chance with you and your husband fighting, even if both of you guys get killed, versus you trying to fight that one man by yourself. And if you taught your sons how to use a firearm, then the whole family can fight. They all can get a firearm, but they can help defend the fort. You might take a L, but at least you'll take a L in valor instead of taking an L in shame. And many are taking L's in shame, Ms. Woodley, because they fail to relinquish that power to that man because they fear vulnerability because of the hurt that they've been through. And some of the hurt is self-inflicted.
Yes.
You know how it was, Ms. Woodley. You saw it at Michigan State. Women got with the F boys, they got with the athletes, they got with the fine guys, the Albie Shores. They got with the fine dudes or the dark chocolates that, that blew the backs out in the dorm. And, now they're crying and say, men ain't ish. No, it's not the men ain't ish. That's overgeneralization. It's the men that you picked that are not ish. You picked those men based on superficial reasoning. Now you're dealing with the recompense of your ignorance because you picked those men based on superficial elements instead of picking men based on things of substance.
Yes.
Would you agree?
100%. I think I did like a little clip with the whole Future type of thing. They're like, men like Future or whatever, and like white women. I'm like, and then they will get with men like Futures and then say all men are bad, right? That's what you wanted.
Right.
That's what you wanted. That's what you picked. And then they will apply their experience with that man to all men. And a lot of stuff is self-inflicted. And I do agree with the whole like relinquishing power. That's when I said women, they don't want to take the pants off. They don't want to relinquish. They don't want to relinquish the power. What they don't understand is the power that comes from relinquishing the power. The power that comes from taking off the pants. The power that comes from, like I said, being able to go from the boardroom and go to the bedroom and step into your femininity. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that power. That is real power.
Yes, ma'am. That's the real power. Because what she's doing, she's actually calibrating the masculinity of that man. She's actually calibrating his masculinity. And she doesn't really understand what she's doing. Women don't understand where they're coalescing and working together with their man. That man is a lot more productive where she's feeding him, where she's making love to his mind and also to his body. when she's giving him massages, when she's nurturing the masculine, said, baby, come lay on my head. I know you had a rough day. When she's willing to listen and learn, and she's silent by observing her man and knowing his patterns. And when she's trying to love him in the beauty of righteousness, not in the negativity of manipulation. And when she's working with that man and harnessing the masculine, she doesn't understand what she's giving that man. I'm telling you, when a man finally meets a true feminine woman, it's the most powerful thing. It's so intoxicating. It would drive you crazy if you've never seen it, because so many men are suffering from affection deprivation. You know, when the woman comes in, she sachets with a genie skirt on, you know. She got the candles lit, you know, and she's playing some soft music, and she knows how to speak to that man. It's a very, 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 very powerful experience. I want to ask you this question, and no one is something is wrong with the call-in link. I don't know. Let me add it again. I don't know, Kulik, Westside Kulik, hold tight. Why did you start your YouTube channel real quick? Why did you start your YouTube channel? And,
you said
why did you start it?
I was thrown into the fire. I was never, you know what? It was not my plan, right? Me starting a YouTube channel was never a plan of mine. It was the Kevin Samuels video that went viral, average at best. And it was all on, you know, like Instagram was my jam, right? And it was all on Instagram. So I had people sending it to me on Instagram. I had people texting it to me. And they were like, just from conversations that they know that I have and how I am, they were like, okay, Avery, so like, what's up? What's your input on this? And I gave my input actually to, I think it was Roland Martin. I gave him my input, and he was like, do a YouTube. He was like, make a YouTube review. I was like, I don't have a YouTube channel. I was like, I don't have cameras. I don't have this. I don't have that. He said, you have your cell phone. You got an email. He said, you have 24 hours to send me your, you know, create a YouTube channel and send it to me. He was like, sit down with your phone. He was like, people need to hear your point of view. He's like, you'd be surprised. And that's honestly how it started.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. That's real powerful. All right. Westside Kulik. I think I said it right.
That's right.
This young lady is a very brilliant young lady, and I respect her highly, and I know you do as well. What would you like to ask her as it relates to this very poignant discussion?
Well, first off, much respect to this show, TKC, and your guest, Avery, here. This has been a great show, very informative, very refreshing, and we need more of this. My question would be, because I'm a millennial, and I look at the women of my generation, and then after, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, no matter what color or background, whatever, they're really extra special. I'll just keep it at that. When are women going to my age group or whatever age group going to have some type of conference, or you know how you have the people that are on drugs that have issues, they have a sit down with them. I forget the terminology or term used for that, but women need to have a sit down with these women nowadays and say
intervention.
And yes, that's it. But y'all need to have, when I say y'all women, y'all need to have an intervention with them, because I mean, we can sit here and say whatever, and they're gonna tell men, you know, we're hateful, we don't like our mom, whatever they say. But if women have this intervention, I think it might do a little bit of something. Does that sound about right, or are you just like?
No, you know what? And I don't. First of all, how do we pronounce your whole name? The West Side, is it
Kulik? Yes, West Side Kulik.
Okay. All right. So first of all, thank you for joining and for the support. You're absolutely right. We definitely need an intervention. It's funny because when we were just talking about how I got on YouTube, when I first got on YouTube, I had a lot of men that were like, you know, you're ahead of your time. They were like, the funny thing is that you'll never get the support of women. And I'm thinking about Noah and his ark, and I'm like, you know what? And it, you know, there were times that it kind of hit me, right? Because I was really on there. The stuff that I was saying, women were thinking that like I was just like, oh, I'm all for men. I'm thinking like, you silly girls, I'm for you. That's what I'm telling you all, that we got to get ourselves together. You know what I'm saying? We have to hold ourselves accountable, because that's the type of woman empowerment I'm for. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the sugarcoating. It's like, no, like I see too many women that are bitter, too many women that are angry, too many women that are carrying the load because somebody told them that, you know, being an independent woman is everything. And they are suffering trying to be an independent woman and not realizing that having the right man in their life and needing, you know, or whether it's a relationship or business, that, you know, we are supposed to be interdependent of each other. So I was like, I'm just going to keep talking until they come. And I definitely agree. I feel like I'm so tired of seeing the boss babe brunches and that hustle girl, whatever, you know, conferences and all that. We get it, right? how to secure the bag, how to make so much money a month. We get it. There's enough of that. That's not catering to the whole one. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we do need to have an intervention. We do need to get some of us women together who are like-minded and who have a voice to sit on a panel or do something and have a conversation and put this out there and beat it to death and do it, year in, day in and day out, maybe go on a tour until one or two people, they start to hear it and they take it back. You know what I'm saying? I've had women from being on YouTube tell me, you know what? Because of you, I didn't know healing was an option. Or grown women in their 30s, right? Like, how do I connect to my feminine? What is it, right? Because it's not just wearing skirts and putting on makeup. That's not it. What is my feminine energy? And I've had women say, I'm tired of doing it all on my own, but I can't tell the women around me because if I do, they're going to think that I'm weak, So I think you're right. We definitely need to do an intervention. It needs to be more of us banding together. And like you said, they're not going to listen to you all because a few of them may listen to you all, but the majority of them aren't. They're going to be like, oh, they don't like like you said, they hate their mothers. They got mommy issues. They have abandonment issues, whatever. They have abandonment issues, all of this. But I just, hey, I'm an advocate for it. Like, I feel like we're stronger together and we definitely need to do an intervention because poor thing. I don't know. I'm here for you, right? Like, I can't imagine having to date certain women now.
Yeah, it's pure chaos, and I made a comment and you said a little portion of this, and I appreciate you for having the strength and knowledge to even say that, because you were saying basically with your sons and you're looking at who they are potentially going to marry or date, and you're like, and I'm talking about as a sister, saying it's like some of the women or a lot of them are kind of in bad shape there.
Right.
And I appreciate the fact that you said, okay, maybe I'm not saying you promoted this, but you were saying, get with the woman that loves you no matter what she looks like. Now, I want to bring home a sister to my parents, a woman that looks like me. But if I can't find that, by default, I'm forced to look outside, because I'm looking at these women nowadays. They're even looking like other women of different races. So they're really promoting you and basically telling you to go out with another type of woman. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to do that, but it's like, you gotta find, your other half or your love or your potential wife. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. They're running off men like this. Literally, they're running them off. And I'm like, y'all got to stop this if you want to keep a certain, family structure. I'll just keep it at that.
For sure. And you know what? And that's the thing. It's one of those things at the end of the day. I try to build my sons up. Their fathers do. We do a lot to build them up, right? I've done the work that I have as a woman to build them up so they can see, because I am their first example of a woman in their life, just like I'm the first example of a woman in my daughter's lives. And the last thing I'm going to do is build them up, and their fathers they're not going to build them up for, some bitter woman to come angry woman to come tear them down who did nothing to them. But you bitter and angry because your mom was bitter and angry, right? So even I would tell you, and I get it, and I admire you, and I love it that you would like to bring home someone that looks like you. But if you can't, go where you grow. Go where you grow. Go where you grow.
Right. Shout out to my man Andrew Baker. Shout out to him. Hold tight, and that is a deal, right?
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Super chat.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
He said, "Salute, Kosher, Avery, in the chat. I'm late to the live stream, but wanted to support. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Andrew Baker, James Turner, and to all that have donated tonight. I really appreciate it. I know it's getting late, and we're going to sign off in a minute, but I could talk to Ms. Woodley for another 8 hours, but I know she got to work out. And then on top of that, they said that when you go to bed late, you're keeping the cortisol up. So I got to let my melatonin set in so I can keep this chocolate skin rich.
That's what I'm saying.
But I want to ask you a question, Westside Kulik. What does it mean to you to be loved by a Black woman? Do you feel that you have been adequately loved by Black Western women in America? What does it mean to Westside Kulik to be loved by a Black woman?
I mean, it's like no other. It means to be healed. But answer your question, I mean, not as of yet, but it means to be truly healed, to be truly wanted, needed, and welcomed. And also, when you find that person like that is a so-called Black woman, you can literally heal the planet too. So a so-called Black man and Black woman together is basically a healing source, everything else. But we're so split. We're so not understanding of each other. We're doing certain things that are not keeping us together. And unfortunately, I'm going to say this, the women are choosing to do this more so than the men. And when I look at millennial men that look like me, you know what I'm saying? I can remember us in high school and middle school going, okay, you know what? I like this girl. I want to date her. You know what I'm saying? I want to be with her. I'm not trying to cheat. I'm actually trying to take her serious. But you would get with these certain girls like that of the same age group or the peer group, and they didn't want the same. They wanted to play the dozens. They wanted to get out here and date around and, you know, screw around and stuff like that. It's literally my generation is reverse. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe back when men were out there doing certain things, but literally women are men nowadays and men are women. And that's the thing that's going on. There's a lot more men that actually want to be in relationships and be married, and women don't want that no more. I don't know if it's because the women have taught them that, or they put some spell on them, or they come here, you know, off balance or whatever. But you know, shortly, it just means to, you know, really have the affection of a woman that you need in your life so you can grow and heal as a man. And when you don't have that, you can't be all the man you can be. I'm gonna be real with you. Some might say that's simple what I just said, but I mean that's real talk.
No, you're not simping, man. You just keeping it a buck. People misconstrue what simping is, and some over generalize it. Shout out to my man, Top Gun. He said, "Could this be the first woman to support passport holders on this show?" You may proceed. Well, listen, I think Miss Woodley, and I let her speak for herself. She got sons, and she said it eloquently earlier that she wants her sons to go where they're honored and respected. And so if those women are not in the confines of America, then so be it. You know, I would say the same thing. If listen, men need feminine women to be better. A feminine woman will raise a man's testosterone level. I don't need a woman lower my testosterone level, because if my testosterone levels are lower, then I can't be masculine. I'm only a shell of myself. You know, I need a woman to be like the sun. You know, Leos, we get stronger under sunlight. I don't need a woman to be kryptonite. I need a woman that can assuage me and be the Mona Lisa. You know, Teddy Pendergrass said, "You inspire me." And if she can't inspire me, then I can't deal with it. You know, because you know, my time on this earth is not as long as it have been. And my last years, I want to be in peace before I stand before God. So I don't need a toxic woman killing my testosterone level. I need a woman that can raise it. When I get around it, you know, she'll be saying, like in the book of Ezekiel, can these dry bones rise? Can these dead bones rise? I need one to make these dead bones rise in my latter years. You know, a woman that got a feminine touch. You know, she got that soft touch. She know how to whisper sweet nothings in your ear to make you feel like a man. And but you know, what people don't understand, energy is transferred. And when women and men transfer negative energy, it can cause that person's vibrations to be more or less taken down. Energy has to go somewhere. And when energy go to a negative container or a positive container, sometimes it can cause polarity with those individuals. Before we end this stream, Ms. Woodley, you've done an awesome job. In less than 2 minutes, what did you get from the show? And we will do this again. We will be doing it several times. We will be doing several collaborations with you, Chantel Simone, Shalakimia Moffitt, and all the good sisters that are trying, because all of these women realize, they said, look, I made bad choices. I made bad mistakes. Right. I'm trying to learn. You know, I'm not a perfect woman. And that's the true sign of a genuine woman, because you're taking ownership for your mess. But in less than 2 minutes, what did you get from the show? Because you've been a breath of fresh air. Damn, you shut it down, man.
No, you guys are awesome, and thank you again, and also for all the work that you put in to do such an amazing show, and for all the guests. In less than 2 minutes, what I have learned is that you all, which I knew this, that you all do love us. You love Black women. You know what I'm saying? You all do love Black women, but you don't feel the love from us. And that is why you have to go where you grow. You know what I'm saying? You have to go where you're celebrated, but you want the love from us. You know what I'm saying? You want the love from us, and we're scaring you guys off. We are running you guys off by the dozen, right? And you're at the point where you're just like, I'm over it, right? You're at the end of your rope. I'm over it, as you should be. And that's what I've learned. And I knew that, but I love to hear from the masses, because I want more women to hear that. And that's why I'm making that my takeaway, is because I want women to hear Black men do love us. They do want us, but they don't feel as if we want them. They don't feel valued. They don't feel loved. They don't support it. And they need to be loved. And that is why they are going somewhere else, where they are respected, where they are celebrated, like you said, and where they are, loved and appreciated. And I don't blame them.
Well, right. Marvin Gaye said it better than me. He said, I want you and I want you to want me too.
Yes.
If you don't want me, then why am I with you? And, I speak to this young man. He's a millennial and he's an intelligent man, very erudite. He's highly educated, and, West Side Kulik deserves the best.
Yes,
and it's my prayer that God bless him with a quality woman, whether she be here in America or whether she be here wherever. I always tell men that they can't find their uncovered gem here, they need to go abroad. Go where you can find your uncovered gem, and never settle for mediocrity. Because I feel that when men are at their best and when they're getting the woman of their dreams, and they can be the best version of themselves. And so I tell all the young men, all the millennials, because as a man, I didn't get this toolage. I had to learn it through trial and error. I didn't have nobody to give me the game. But this is the first time in human history when men can come together and share knowledge. They can share information through what's called a group catharsis, where men share their pain, their stories, and their fears. And so, like I said, it's been a very powerful show. We will do it again. We will definitely do it again. And, that 5 hours clip that I put together, it literally took me 5 hours to put that mess together. But it was not in vain. And so,
not at all.
Yeah. I had to put a little swag juice. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it and I'm going to take the clip that you did and I'm going to make another little small show and try to, keep it for the algorithm. But share the show, Ms. Woodley. I think your people will definitely love it.
I definitely will.
Yeah, share the show. And you have been so kind, so soft, so gentle, so human. I appreciate your humanity. I'll put you under the fire for a reason, and I hit you with the Zeus Thunderbolt.
I appreciated it. I appreciated it. I welcomed it. I absolutely love the conversation. I love your insight and your wisdom and your intellect. It's needed. It is definitely needed. I love that you're telling Black men to love themselves. You know what I'm saying? And to take care of themselves and everything like that, because we don't tell them enough. You know what I'm saying? We feel like it's only for women. We don't tell them enough. And we need you. And I honor you all, and I appreciate you all. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Black man.
No doubt. What I got, and the next show will be what my father forgot to tell me, awesome. and what is supporting Black men, Black male worship. Because now they say anytime you support a Black man, it's Black male worship, which is goofy. Because
oh my God, you know what? They are doing anything. Who are these people? They are doing anything, and we're taking some of. People who don't know any better are taking it and running with it. And it's just more divide. I don't know what.
Right. It is more divide. And less than 2 minutes, West Side. What did you get from the show, brother? You always add clarity and insight. And then we're going to sign off.
Just that clarity, insight. I got a woman on here that was a real woman and stood up on not just her soapbox, but stood up on a building and said, this is what it is. I ain't worried about no woman slack or men slack, whatever. This is what's going on in womanhood. And a woman that does it, as a human being that does that, I salute you on that. This is how you heal. You're talking about the cause and effect, but this is how you heal nations. This is how you heal the battle of sexes or feminism or whatever people want to say. This is how you heal. You get down to the nitty gritty and the problem with it. And again, I appreciate you for doing that. But Black men, we love so-called Black women. You know what I'm saying? We love them. We're just disappointed. We're just disappointed. That's the only thing. We're disappointed. Because when you look at news nowadays, we're always defending y'all, whether it be literally protecting y'all, whatever, but we're just disappointed because we don't deserve what y'all, and not all, but what a lot of y'all have been doing to us. Right. But I appreciate that you're laying the law down and speaking on these issues of womanhood nowadays. And again, I salute you.
Thank you.
No doubt. I definitely salute her. And to the women that want to learn, you will learn. But for the women that don't want to learn,
that ain't kosher.
And that ain't right.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Let me stop. I'm a fool. I'm a fool, Miss Woodley. I apologize.
I love it.
That's that Leo in me, man. I'm real fun-loving, but very creative at the same time. But I'm going to run this mental health commercial, guys. We're going to sign off. Y'all get some rest because we got to put that cortisol to sleep. All right, so we're going to run this commercial, Ms. Woodley. We're going to sign off there. Let's stay in contact. I will be reaching out to you at some point.
Yes.
Hopefully we can talk on phone and come up with some show ideas as we seek to push and more or less have more coaching conversations. Okay. Thank you, dear. Sure. All right, no doubt.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
Hold tight. Hold tight. Let me turn this thing off. All right, we got it there. I'm gonna let you roll. I don't know what time it is in Missouri. I think it's 11 o'clock. But
yes, is it 11 o'clock? It is 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock in the Tar Heel State. So I got to keep this melon and cracking. So
I know, me too. I don't want to start looking old and haggard.
You are so funny, a breath of fresh air. But anyway, dear, we're gonna sign off, and we will do this again. Thank you, dear. Signing off.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sweetie.
All right, bye.
Where we at? And let me find this thing so I can sign off.
4 in the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me.
When the truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down to ride, you weren't down to ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide. I was shooting dice till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took a L, should've put it in the offering. Lord, forgive me for my sins, don't know of me. Scary thoughts, I got scary thoughts. Lost control, now I'm taking charge. Breaking bills, friends breaking off. You could be the youngest, I'm the dawn. Kiss the ring, nah. In the scene like GOT. Stay awake, don't sleep. Like Jon Snow, get R.I.P.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy. Please get from around me.
Just me, myself, and I, my favorite threesome. The cars I drive by, I never lease them. They say if you can't beat them, then you join them. That's no option, I don't join, I always beat them. I was faking, had to find me. Now I'm on beat, skating like I'm grinding. L hit me, said it's all about the timing. If you want the vision, get to spinning. My mama told me trust in God, it's never limits. Now I'm on the scoreboard, running up the digits. I put in work, you know I'm up to get it. Early bird gets the worm and the Yankee fitted.
Like whoa,
bags under my eyes and you know. Won't complain, I'm tired, I'm on go. For that grip, 10 toes till they swole. For that grip, 10 toes till they swole.
Remember those days, those L's, I couldn't sleep right now. I get paid, vacay, I'm staying B-side. Breaking the blues over steak, I gotta eat right. You could be my peace sign. I don't need that energy around me. I just need sun, you're so cloudy. I wake up good, you're so grouchy.
was starving, now I'm eating till my belly full. From up north, we get cold, you need a heavy coat. Scared to end up on a shirt before a centerfold. Devil on my back, target on me, deadly too. Play the keys, don't tweet. It's not peace, don't speak. 24, no sleep. This is real, no tweet. My bros for life, can't break this link. Family on my side, baby stay around me. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want this. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want this. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. Want that combo, better know you'll need a check from me. Can pay to play, the sun still won't get a cent from me. I mix the fit up with the side like it's a remedy. I mix it up inside the pot, watch it drip while it drop. Time to take it to the top. Chips all in the middle like it fall, no I won't flop. We gon' pop like a soda can top. To me this is nothing, call my bluff and I won't stop when I flex. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I want the checks, yeah. I don't want the second, I want best. I want best, yeah. By any means, that's a triple threat. A triple threat. Yeah, this is getting bigger, I might flex. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want best. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I don't want no combo, I want checks. I don't want the second, I want best. I'm all in my head, swear I'm a wreck. I've been moving like a hot mess. I press the button and the doors go up. Whoa, that money clip us now, the new that looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa. I hit record it, drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, Finnish friends on my face. Looking like I'm from the D. D's no Cartiers. Pockets deep, bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go up like. That money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip. Neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib. Neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick. Neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Bills on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, yo, no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go up like. Whoa, that money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa. I press the button and the doors go up like. Whoa, that money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa. Tunnel vision when I hit the holly. Working on that cause my mind is on an island. Told my babies I'll be homeless, so don't stay up. Breaks my heart to see them sad, so I won't wait up. Need it all that's mine, I need it now. I lost my patience the same week I lost my smile. My baby pressed me, said I'm acting like a child. I took some L's, can't lie, that really brought me down. I'm so antisocial, but I guess it's type selective. Swear I'll make a change, but for now I just can't help it. Only trusting God in these scars that I've been dealt with. I'ma do my job, time to grind, time to ignore. They know, 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 they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. Gone and I won't let up, they know. I'm not so I'm fed up, they know. Say it for the record, they know. They know, they know, they know. Yeah, they know. Pedal to the metal, they know. I'm not so I'm fed up, they know. Why you never sign? You sign when you go live. Stuck inside that bubble, never ever go outside. You don't know you know computers, you're a tech guy. Back against a wall, you gon' fall or you gon' ride. I feel the pressure, foot to the pedal. My dogs, they fed up, my squad won't let up. Those sneakers CDG, hot on step on. My money yoga, the weight is stretch on. I change locations to change the weather. Know when that rain come, got my umbrella. And when my day come, my name gon' stay up. Yeah, I know, I know, I know. Pedal to the metal, they know.